Unite the divided, episode 70. With Alfonso from exile's fire, truth ignites the night.
And
campfires in Venezuela's you.
yeah, why is it cutting in and out?
I don't
Songs
know.
of revolt we
This
sang
is a cool
so
intro.
blind.
We have a little
Cuban
welcome to United
echoes,
Divided,
Silvio
everyone.
string, pulling hearts to
Hello. How are
chains
you doing?
unkind.
Alfonso Vidal is here with us.
Chavez
tonight.
rose from
The first time
92's
guest on the
failed
program.
coup.
Appreciate you being here.
Elected thief in
And so the little
democracy's
intro song that
guide.
we created here, we usually do an AI clip, but we don't always do it up front. This is the first time we've ever done the song up front. But basically, we're just trying to prove to people. So basically, I created a song based on what the topics we were going to be talking about today,
Right.
with an AI tool, and I spent like 3 minutes creating 6 different songs.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of crazy how technology is going and,
Right.
and whatever. But thank you for coming in today.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
For anyone watching right now, we don't have headphones on, so we're gonna have a little background music, a little mood music the whole time.
Well, you just have to hit stop.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Yeah. So we're trying new stuff, everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is a little bit of a. So,
Yeah.
for instance, when you were talking just a minute ago, that music was technically blaring over top of you for just a little bit.
Oh,
Then I
okay.
realized that, turned it down. So everybody, welcome to our.
A little thing here.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, our little shindig. It's not quite right, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So anyway, welcome, and with all the stuff that has been going on in the world, and especially in Venezuela, I heard your story a long time ago.
Right.
I know you've sat down with several people. You did some things with the news and kind of told your story, but I hadn't seen anything really in depth, like long form. Like just let's sit down, talk about your childhood, and just kind of what brought you here. Because I think it's relevant based on what's going on in the world, both in Venezuela, but even what we're seeing in our own cities around the United States. I think we're seeing a lot of similar things and similar movements, I guess might be the word that I'm looking for. Mandami being a democratic socialist taking over New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty close to the Venezuelan situation, I think. And so,
with the nuances and differences, but yes, yeah,
sure, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about either one of them really to know what's going to work or what won't work. But so why don't you just start off by telling the listeners a little bit about yourself, and start wherever you want to start, and then we'll get into it from there.
So I think it's worthwhile talking, not to make it too long, right? But and you tell me, but talk a little bit about my childhood and younger years and all that, because I think it's very relevant to what we lived, of course, what the history, which is amazing to me, now that, my life and my generation's life, I should say, of Venezuelans, lived through these really relevant times for history. My kids, I always tell them every time they do something and they come and complain and something, and I say, well, when I was kidnapped, and they go, oh my God.
There he goes again. It's the argument stopper.
Exactly. But I let them talk, and then enticing them like I care. No, I don't care.
As soon as you get kidnapped, then you can come and talk to me.
Exactly. But
see, now I just want to hear. I want everybody to know about the kidnap story. Well, we'll get there.
That was the intro, right? That was the intro. No, but so was born in 1973. Okay, it was still a wonderful, wonderful place to be born, to be alive. I mean, families from, immigration into Venezuela from Europe, from other countries. I mean, a very wealthy society, even though it was already diminished from what it was in the 50s and the 60s in Venezuela. In the 50s, the economy was the fourth of the world, in terms of GDP. So it was really the place to be in South America, But that kind of slowly started changing, for many reasons. One of the reasons, of course, governments and corruption, and it was not a totally free market economy. Okay, there was still a very socialistic environment. Okay, that was prevalent in our society. The best example that I can give you is the most right-wing person in Venezuela would be similar to a blue dog type Democrat here, just to give you an idea.
Like a conservative, Democrat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Slightly left of center.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So very influenced by the Catholic Church, and especially at that time, the Catholic Church, the social doctrine of the Catholic Church, and how essentially we're supposed to take care of the people that is around us, etc., etc. So very influenced by that. But and going back to Juan Vicente Gomez, who was one of the dictators there, okay, when they open up and they discover oil in Venezuela, they gave the concessions to mainly the United States. Right, the concessions to get the oil out, refine it, and process it, and all that. And the United States really helped us build the oil industry in Venezuela.
Via like Exxon.
Yeah,
and
it was Shell and all those at the time.
Okay.
And all that. In fact, my grandfather was one of the lawyers, or they formed a law firm that did service to I think it was Shell at the time.
This is a slightly random question, but is it more offshore or onshore?
A little bit of everything,
Okay.
But the difference is we do have the biggest oil reserves in the world, even more than Saudi Arabia. Okay, the thing is that the oil in Venezuela is
Very clean.
Well, very clean in the Zulia region, which is also in part of the lake, Maracaibo Lake. Okay, but in the Orinoco River section, which is the biggest reserves, are very heavy crude oil. Okay, so at some point the emulsion was developed, which it was kind of a fracking type technology, but it helps get the heavy oil out of stuff. So, but I'm born then in that time where really, I mean, we're used to my cousins and uncles and all that were maybe 10 years older than me, really lived. I mean, to be honest, their generation, they're spoiled brats. We are also spoiled brats, but they're spoiled brats. They were flying planes on their bridges, and I mean, this was a bonanza. Okay,
So everybody was.
so think about it like this:
wealthy.
kids, right, of very wealthy parents doing the things that kids shouldn't be doing with a lot of money.
Sure.
Right. So just think about that way. Think about it. You know, we used to go to Miami all the time. It was for a weekend just to go shopping. Okay. The 70s start, and there's some cracking in all this economy and all that. Eventually, oil prices go down, okay, quite a bit. Right, that in the 70s we would do, and I'm giving you big ranges here, so not a specific dates, but the budget of the nation was done or was calculated at $19-20 per barrel. Okay, when it was 25, we were just, I mean, it was, you know, running naked down the street, right? But all that happened, right? And it got to be $9 per barrel, okay? And that really started some real problems. I mean, we had at some point one of the strongest middle classes, okay? Which, let me forget to talk about the importance of middle class and all that.
Sure.
But we had a very strong middle class. But when that happened, the middle class started disappearing. Okay, now we still had. I think the cost of production for the Venezuelan companies, PDVSA, was about $8 per barrel. So we're still making money. But imagine if you calculate the entire cost of the budget or the entire budget at 19 or so, 20 or so, and then you had to make all the short bring it back at 9. So a lot of trouble that started happening right there. Around that time, then there was a lot of people, of course, unhappy with it. You start seeing the the division of the classes and the haves and the have-nots and all that. And then of course it was then just before I get into that. So that time, right before my teenage years, I mean, it was the good times, right?
So like early 80s?
Well, no, it's still 70s, yeah, early 80s, all the way to the early 80s, right? So the late 80s, it started really, there was a social concern, I guess, and people started getting very upset with the government, with how things happening. The jobs were scarce. I mean, you can imagine everything that comes with a restructuring of a budget of a nation that is that big. The devaluation of the bolivar, which is the currency of the country. I mean, I remember it. I mean, for the longest time, we had 4.30 bolivars to $1. It was the longest time. And then all of a sudden, I remember going to go, because it was one Friday, the Black Friday, that of course there's always a Black Friday somewhere. But it went, I believe it went from 4.30 to 7 to 9 right after that, etc. Wow. So it was a real calamity. People lost a lot of money. Okay, and I mean it was a challenge for all of us. So that started then a lot of grumblings, a lot of other parties. I mean, there used to be a two-system party. It's very similar to the United States, although they did accept the other parties. Which was COPEI and Acción Democrática, which is AD. COPEI, in fact, my grandfather, who died when he was 33, started one of the political parties, or helped start one of the political parties with Rafael Caldera, who was one of his best friends. Rafael Caldera ended up being president, who was the president, by the way, that in his second term freed Chavez. So we'll get there. Okay. But
and just so we say, really the only money generation in the country was oil.
90% of it.
So there wasn't really manufacturing or anything like that.
Very little. In fact, one thing, Arturo Uslar Pietre, who was one of the thinkers, the think tanks, so to speak, of Venezuela, he always talked about planting back the oil, which he meant was, of course, reinvesting in manufacturing in the country and all those things.
Diversifying income.
Yeah. So there was a lot of subsidies that came with that. For example, still today, the gas just you put in your car it's nothing in Venezuela. It's nothing. It's less than an egg. Okay, you can fill a whole tank of a car with less than which is worth less than an egg in a supermarket.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just it's unbelievable. So it was always very low. But there was a Carlos Andrés Pérez, which was one of the presidents, escapes me, but mid-70s, right? I'm sorry, mid-80s, I believe, or late. Well, so somewhere in that equation. I mean, I can tell you presidents, but I don't know if I remember all the dates. At some point, they raised the price of gas, and they was at the back. I mean, it was everybody went to the streets. They were protesting and all that. And that kind of encouraged, a group of militaries, a military man that included Chavez, to do a coup d'état. Okay.
Because part of them, Venezuela giving a large portion of their oil production to America probably it was tied to maybe our gas prices are going to remain low, and this is part of the deal. They kind of felt like it was part of the deal.
This is what happened exactly. So oil prices went down. We had to go out and ask for the International Monetary Fund for loans, okay, to be able to run the country, right, and maintain everybody happy. I mean, politics, right? And then after that, okay, we had to pay it back. Of course, the interests were even higher than what we could pay. Okay, there was no recovery of the price of oil until later. Okay. So the International Monetary Fund, they went and said, okay, we'll help you, but you have to implement these economic measures. And those economic measures ultimately really brought in Chavez. okay, because there was unrest in the population. It was measures that were very, very hard, increasing the price of gas and other ones, right? I mean, cut the social programs, do this, do that. I mean, it was a whole package of things. Carlos Andres, so in Venezuela, you were president for 5 years. You had to wait 10 years to be reelected for another 5, okay? Chavez changed all that, okay? But back then, that's what happened. So Carlos Andres, in the first term, in that first 5 years, around in the 70s, he convinced everybody that we were going to buy back the concessions of the United States, okay? So we went and gave a bunch of money to the United States, but the argument was, well, with what we're going to make, we're going to be good, which in that first term, it did. Now, at the same time, he became the richest man in South America. So there was a lot of corruption and all that, but again, it was a bonanza, okay? So everybody was happy. We formed PDVSA, and PDVSA was the oil production company in Venezuela.
And about what year was what you're talking about when you had to
I had to look back, but because it really escapes me. No. This is 70s. That was the first Carlos Andres term. Okay,
gotcha.
Then another president came, another parties. I mean, there was always what Chavez used to call el punto fijismo, which is an agreement that two parties had in Punto Fijo, which is a city in Venezuela, to share power depending on the elections. So depending on how percentage of the elections, you get so many of these, so much of that, so much of that. Mm-hmm. And they had a shared power agreement, right? Okay, so that happens. There were some other governments that enjoyed that buyback or when they nationalized the oil, but it gets to be then where it passes 10 years, two terms of other presidents, and Carlos Andres comes to be president again. But that's the time when the monetary fund said, hey, you have to implement these, all these interest payments, etc., etc., etc. So Carlos Andres goes from one of the most popular presidents, okay, to be hated and taken down. That's in '92. That's when Chavez attempts the first coup d'etat. And it was Chavez and a group of other military men. They failed. Well, in fact, the other two were able to achieve their goals, but Chavez failed. Chavez was supposed to take Caracas, and he failed. Okay. Now, Chavez, by many people now think there was a mistake. They pulled Chavez out of prison that they had him that same day, and pull him out within hours of the initial shots, I guess, were fired, and pull him on TV and said, just make sure you tell everybody we failed. You have to depose your guns or your arms, okay? But he said something that it was, so he was a master orator, right? And he says, comrades, we have failed. Please let's not share more blood. But is that we have failed for now, por ahora. And that became the slogan for his campaign then later, okay? Because everybody was very excited. I can tell you that I remember my dad wakes me up and says, hey, look what's happening. Because at the time, we were disappointed about everything that was happening by the government. We didn't have what our grandparents had, right? And all this stuff. I mean, it was very frustrating.
So from like when you were born to your early 90s?
I was already first years of college.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So born, and it's a bonanza, teenage years still good, but there's some cracks in there. Later in the high school years, I mean, it was, we started having trouble. There was riots and all that, and then later my first years in college and all that. So that's in the span of 20 years or so.
Sure.
Then first coup d'etat. I can tell you, we were all excited. At first, it was, oh my God, somebody's doing something about this, So my grandmother at the time, she a remarkable woman. She was widow of that grandfather that helped start the Copay party.
Passed away in his 30s. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was 21 years old,
wow.
With 3 kids, 3, 2, and 1 years old. Okay, She wrote 2 books. She presented the books to John Paul II. We have pictures of him. I have John Paul II's rosary in my house. A remarkable woman. She started a non-for-profit. She sold insurance for a living. Okay, she moved to the United States for 3 years, trying to imagine a lone or a woman, a widow in that time and all that. It was very hard. So that happens. Remarkable one. I remember very wise coming to me. We were talking, and she said, Alfonso, when I saw that clip in TV, I got very excited at first. Okay, but immediately, it was not even seconds after that, I remember the dictatorships. Okay, that we went through. That, by the way, the dictatorships build the country. Of course, it's very easy to govern with an authoritarian type regime because everybody's going to
do what you want.
You do what you want,
Yeah.
right? And if you have a little bit of a sense of management, you can do it, right? But the freedom they lose, and I can tell you, I got other family that lost an ear, but when coming back from Cuba, trying to implement democracy, and I can tell you stories of all this that were happening. But so my grandmother says it was very exciting at first, and then the fear just took over, remembering the years of the dictatorship. Okay, so at that time I was like, see, this is the same woman that told me when the Berlin Wall was falling. She said, I know you can identify that it's a good thing, but I don't know if you realize how good it is. And at the time I was like, I know,
You had no context.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Now I go like, what that really meant. This is the same woman that tells me, hey, this is scary. Okay. So this happens. He's in jail at this point. Carlos Andrés Perez is asked to resign. He resigns. They get it's a mess, a political mess. And then Caldera, was my grandfather's best friend, goes for a second term. So the first term was good, not as good as Carlos Andrés, but he came after Carlos Andrés, and then he goes again and wins. Okay, all right. He frees Chavez. At some point in his new term, he frees Chavez. Okay. Now, I have no idea why, other than some people say that he was already organizing another coup d'etat and all that. So Caldera probably, this is just me,
trying to fill in the dots.
Trying to fill in the blanks here, or telling people what to think, right? I love that. You think what I say. I always say I love dictatorship as long as I'm the dictator. But
I don't want you to be the dictator.
Yeah, exactly. So he gets out of jail and he goes to Cuba, Chavez is, okay? And he gets trained by the Cubans. So at this point, this is the important part. Cuba is a communist country at this time. Castro has been in power for a long time. And Cuba and Russia always wanted Venezuela because of the oil, of course. Everybody complains about Trump going after the oil. What do you think China and Russia wanted? Mm-hmm. Arepa recipe? No.
All about the oil.
So
and rare minerals.
Rare minerals and all this stuff. So Cuba, in fact, I wrote an article that it was in the USA Today about it. I mean, Cuba, we would send Chavez. This is what is so upsetting. Chavez would send oil tankers to Cuba. Okay, and Cuba would pay us. You know how they would pay us?
Excuse me, guys. Sorry.
That's all right. You know what they would pay us?
What?
With Cuban consultants.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay. So just think about it. So instead of we getting paid, which at this time now, so I will talk about the price of oil, but it's through the roof. Okay. And we get paid with Cuban consultants, which are essentially army people and spies, making sure that the Chavez regime stays in power. And those are the ones that Trump just killed when he was there. So when people say, "Oh, these citizens of Cuba," no, there were no citizens. So that's we've known this all our lives. you know. So it's a slap in the face to think of all this. So again, Chavez is getting trained in Cuba. Okay, Cuba has tried not only by subversion but also by attack. Cuba attacked Venezuela back in the 50s in the Machurucuto beach. Okay, they tried to get in Venezuela. Venezuela repealed them. Okay, and so this is all going on. So Cuba realized that they had to. Cuba realized that they had to get the what they call the Syrian model. Okay, to implement communism. Okay, which is the slow change of minds of the youth with education, with the institution, like destroying the foundations of the institutions that sustain a country. Okay, and changing the minds of the young people. I remember, this is what I said. I remember singing Cuban freedom songs around a fire without any real knowledge. You know, this is the same guy that didn't understand the Berlin Wall, right? Without any real knowledge what that meant, right? Now, yeah, we knew. Oh yeah, Cuba. And he was the big thing. Was Che Guevara. Well, he was a freaking martyr and a revolutionary. Okay, and young people have it in their chest.
It's so crazy how we. Our media and what we're sold over here. Yeah. I mean, he was basically a hero, a folklore hero.
What they say, this I don't know, but what they say that he was upset with Castro, and Castro sent him to fight back in Bolivia, and probably even Castro got him killed, you know, with the Bolivian army. But it was an Argentinian that went to fight for communism in Cuba. Okay, so you got all that. So if you go to the International Communist Party website, it's there. They want to take over the world by any means necessary. Okay? So, again, they decide that they want to take out South America, okay, through Venezuela. Okay? I start with Cuba, it's the one that kind of, but through Venezuela because it has the oil. So, Chavez gets trained in all these. Chavez was already a remarkable, intelligent troubadour, by the way, which he just convinced everybody of anybody, and people would follow him. Okay, so
just an influencer / politician.
He was apparently back in the barracks, in the military barracks. I mean, he would spend hours just. You know, how is that type of singing that you sing and that you just kind of invent on the run what you're singing? That
impromptu. I don't.
Yeah, impromptu type.
What's that called, Travis?
But you know, impromptu singing. You know, like in the fiddle and all that. But it was with a cuatro.
Just making up songs, kind of impromptu.
Freestyle.
Freestyle.
Yeah, I don't know.
but it's called in Venezuela. It's contrapunteo. So one word freestyle and say a few verses, and then you respond to that verse and all that stuff.
Okay.
So apparently he was a master of that. I don't know this for a fact, but this is what they say. So he's in Cuba, and then that's so at this point we're 95, 96, and almost I don't know exactly when he got free, but he started campaigning. Okay, for presidency. Eventually he wins, and he wins straight up. This is what I always say. You know, we get the leaders that we deserve, you know. So our leaders, our elected officials are not the problem. You know, the problem is the culture, you know. And the culture, the way the culture buys and votes, that's what we're going to get. It's simple, right? But people can make it all they want, and they want to change our elected officials. Spend time changing the culture. Right? So, but Chavez is getting trained in Cuba, okay? And around this time, again, we're still living kind of sort of good, no problem. Everybody's like, Chavez is not gonna win, he's a nobody, etc., okay? And we have been indoctrinated through all this time, okay? Now, at this point, it's important to make a difference. The United States, I can see some of the same signs in the indoctrination, in the education system, in the media, and all that. Go ahead and read Pope and a President by Paul Kenger. It talks about Ronald Reagan and John Paul II, how the Russians are experts at character assassination. Okay, and what do? They start making up lies and all that, and and next thing you know, you lose because everybody is even questioning if you are really what they say you are or not. Now, of course, the whole thing is more complex than that, but so you get that going on. So Chavez is getting expertise in all this. He goes to the Chamber of Commerce, the National Chamber of Commerce, and he tells them what they wanted to hear. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. We're going to foster an environment for investment. But he goes to the barrios and he would tell them those rich people are the ones that are to be at fault. And
so he was playing both sides at the same time, saying opposite things.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, remember, at the time, we didn't have all these videos. Sorry. All these videos, right, that anybody could record you at any time. So they were like videos, and people would record certain things, and it would not make sense. As well, but he told the Chamber of Commerce this, and he's talking about this. Is that true? Yeah, well, look at this video. That kind of stuff was going on.
Well, I just want to insert something here because this is kind of overlaps with our goal, I think, at United Divided, what we're trying to do with the podcast. Like any current or future elected official, I think should be required to have regular conversations that are recorded, and they're held accountable to the things that they're saying they want to do with the local government. Like, what are your goals? How are you going to get there? That way, you can't play both sides of the fiddle. You can't promise some people over here this and be doing the opposite on the other thing. I think that's kind of where we can be different and better moving forward.
Yeah.
And the media used to own that. Like the politicians wouldn't have to answer the questions that they didn't want to answer.
Yeah.
They were told, here's the question that we want to have, and they would get that question asked to them, and they wouldn't get any of the hard questions. I think that's where we can make a change.
We do,
at every level.
But without being fear-mongering type thing, the United States have very different nuances than Venezuela.
Sure.
We talked about a free country with free economy, free market economy, and then a democracy that is kind of different than is in the United States. The same in many ways, but for example, we had a Senate, we had a House, we had a Supreme Court, we had all that. But the Supreme Court, for example, was not appointed for life. That's a key distinction. Okay, because of the House and the Senate were appointed by these agreement in punto fijo. Okay, they were not directly voted in. Okay, like it is here. Okay, and the states are not as independent as they are here. So that separation of power is extremely important to maintain where we live in and all that. The Electoral College is very important. We had direct voting, which is extremely bad because then you only have Caracas, Maracaibo, and Ciudad Bolivar, and that's it. I'm kind of exaggerating, but that's it. We have here the Electoral College is very important. So that separation of power is important. But not only the separation of power there, but the separation of the pool of the economy. Okay? Again, in Venezuela, it's oil. You take over oil, you control the world, right? But in the United States, you have a lot of interest that are pulling, and they maintain this tension. Everybody complains about special interest groups. I love them. You know why? Because they maintain the tension, that is necessary in a society, okay, to pull. Now, of course, everybody's going to have their special interest group in a way, and that's the downside of that. But at the same time, it maintains the tension and is necessary to keep the balance. Okay, so we are at this point then, right before my kidnapping. Okay, so. The kidnapping comes.
The kidnap now.
Yeah. Get into the juicy stuff.
Yeah. So
need Chavez to make some popcorn. It needs to be a movie.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I was offered one time. So, but here's the thing. So there are then all these guerrilla groups, okay, in South America. Colombia was very famous for it, but Bolivia was also the Shining Path was one, and FARC was another one, and ELN was another one. All these groups that were basically trying to take over or take down the governments of the South American countries to implement socialism and communism. Okay? So the problem is, for example, Colombia, guerrilla was there for, I don't know, for how long? I think it was 50 years, 60 years. I mean, you have to look at it. But it's for such a long time that they almost forget, what they were there for, and they have to start feeding themselves somehow. So then they start kidnapping people, to ask for ransom. And in the case of some groups and others, they start selling their service to the drug cartels. Because the drug cartels had all the money, but hey, I can use a few guns right next to me, okay? So in this environment that I'm telling you, we go, my friend and his father, we go down to Venezuela, down south part of Venezuela near Colombia.
About what year are we talking?
97.
Okay.
So we go down to Venezuela, down in the south part of Venezuela to fish, okay? And we flew from Caracas to Los Llanos, which is near this place, to fish, and it was near the border with Colombia, okay? Well, we knew that there were guerrillas down there, but they were not going to target us, I mean, what the heck, Well,
we're just fishing.
Yeah, that we were fishing. Well, after the kidnapping, my dad always said that the one were the fishes that were there, and that nobody wanted to go back there.
Yeah.
But they wanted to steal an airplane, actually a Cessna 310, okay, that has a longer range, to sell it to the drug cartels because it was longer range to smuggle drugs. Well, they couldn't get the pilot that they brought in, they couldn't get the Cessna 310 started, for whatever reason, don't know why, okay? But then they saw the Cessna 210 arriving, okay? And they said, oh, let's get this one. They were able to start another Cessna 210, and they said, okay, we're not gonna take one plane, we're gonna take two planes, okay? And we're gonna bring it back to them, and we're gonna sell it, okay? But they were ordered not to bring any people. But since they didn't have a second pilot, they had to bring that other pilot. We landed.
Which was your pilot?
Which is our friend, my friend.
Your friend was the pilot.
Okay.
Father.
The father. Yeah,
oh, the father.
The father. Okay. So we go in there and all that. There were some other friends who already had the jump boats, and this is a lagoon of the river. I'm telling you, it's great fishing. The first time I went in there, I mean, I got hooked because I got a 6-pound bass,
oh, wow.
Like a pickup bass. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was a lot. I loved it. We went there several times. Long story. But so we get there. The jump boats are all in the lake, and we have to go to the camp next to us to get another jump boat. When we get over there, okay, we see that the caretaker of all these lagoon camps was hogtied and blindfolded and all that. And my friend draws his gun, I draw my gun and all that, and we started backing up. And then there was about 7 guerrilla people that got us surrounded around. There was a shack, and they surrounded us like this, right? So of course at that time with my gun, they get my friend and all that, and I go, whoop. Who brought this gun to the fight? So they take us. They put us inside the shack. They hogtied. How you say? No, they hogtied.
Gag.
Gags. Thank you. Yeah. They hogtied and gagged my friend. Right. But the mistake is they only hogtied me. They didn't got me. Right. So they get him there and all that, and they say, "Where's the pilot?" I didn't say anything, but my friend goes, "It's my father's next door," and they put the gag on him after that. They take him and they bring the father. They show I was sitting down. My friend was in the ground, and they show us, "So you have to take us to Colombia, or now we will kill your children." Okay. Of course, the guy says, "Tell me what to do. We will not be any trouble for you guys," and all that. They said, "But we're going to take your son." They ask him. So is that, well, my son and a friend, So, well, we're going to take your son with us, so you don't crash the plane and try to get away. Okay? So that happens. They come in and they say, "Who's the son?" So my friend gagged. He couldn't say anything. I was not gonna go like, oh, you see, you know. So I just went along. I mean, they picked me up. They went along. They opened the door. They showed me to my friend's father, and he goes, no, that's not my son. That's not my son. And the guerrilla guy goes, you lied to me. I said, I didn't think there was a code of ethics here. Well, that got him upset, and I end up in the other plane as a reward, I guess, or something. I don't know. I was really scared then, because I thought,
This was it. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. And the guy was pointing at me with a revolver all the time. So we fly into Colombia really low to avoid the raiders, et cetera, et cetera. We landed, and it's a long story. It's 11 days of a lot of patience. I didn't believe that God existed, and at this point, to be honest, I mean, there was a lot of miracles that I cannot deny that God exists.
How old were you at this point?
23.
23.
Yeah. So they get us in there. It's 11 days. It was the longest days of my life. Very boring, but there were times that they would come in and tell us, we're gonna get you out tomorrow, but the other pilot, so they fly in plane number one, but apparently, we don't know this for a fact, but apparently that pilot got killed when he delivered the wrong plane to the drug cartels. Mm-hmm. We don't know this, but apparently some intelligence says that. So they get us, we were there, and finally one night, they wake us up and said, let's go. Okay, and I was in a daze. We would sleep on a little, there was a little hammock. They made a tent, or they hang a tent between two trees and a mosquito net, right? And they put a mat and a hammock. The hammock was like, it was the Taj Mahal compared to the little mat that was this
on the floor, on the ground,
right, with all the bugs and all the stuff, and you can imagine sleeping on the ground that hasn't been clear and all that. So after 11 days, they walk us to this place. I mean, there was another group that started fighting for to get us, because then they started telling that they can sell us for ransom, and then that group said, no, we already stole the plane from the old man, we want to let them be because we have a code of ethics. I said, yeah, right.
The code of ethics. Yeah.
So finally we walked. I can tell you, it was I was exhausted at the time. I couldn't stay awake. In fact, I will tell you, I've always slept like a baby, right? That first night that we're kidnapped, nobody could sleep and all that. And then the next morning we wake up and my friend goes, man, I couldn't sleep at all. And I said, yeah, me neither. So I said, what the heck are you talking about? You were snoring next to me. I said, I'm sorry.
Even when you were kidnapped, you slept like a baby.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So I was very sleepy, and so they got us with a native there that walked us to the highway, and then the highway we took a bus and went to the next city. And the next city we call friends and all that to come and pick us up, and then they took us into Caracas. Now, of course, there's 11 days there, and I can feel, I don't know how many podcasts of all these stories and all this stuff that happened. But eventually we got to Caracas. They kept following me and my father because they wanted maybe, there were a lot of theories, but think about it this way. Maybe they wanted to kidnap my father and have me negotiate, because the negotiation is pretty tough, I mean, they might make you think that they killed the person and ask you for more money and that kind of stuff. So all that happened, right? So I'm thinking, all right, we're cool, right? Well, no, I mean, we found out through the military intelligence and all that we were being followed. So I ended up saying, okay, we got to leave, and we got to kind of make a gap. So they forget about us, because it's like any other business. I mean, you invest in how much you have, right? So that happens. Then we left the country hiding under the seat of a van, okay, and came to Evansville. Now, why?
Wow.
And everybody asked me why. Wow. Now, when everybody asked me why, I said, well, that's an interesting story. My kids walk away going with it, rolling their eyes and all that. Going like, here we go again. But it was because we needed to go to a place that we had family. We had one cousin here, but we had family in many other places in the United States. But it was a safe place with resources that we could, be for 3 months or so in the middle of nowhere. So we flew from Caracas to Miami, Miami to Chicago. Chicago, we bought a ticket into Louisville, and Louisville we drove to Evansville. And that's
And who made that journey, that original?
So it was my dad, my mom, and myself. My sister, who was in ESL classes at UE the semester before the kidnapping, she almost didn't come, of course, because of a kidnapping. And then she, when I showed up after 11 days, then she got on a plane and came here to finish her ESL classes. So that's why UE had all the knowledge that I was getting. In fact, President Vinson at the time asked to meet with me just to find out who the heck this guy was, right? That was one of the most welcome times that I've felt in my life. Because I have lost, by this time, between the kidnapping and missing classes and missing finals and all that, I lost a year in school. Okay, so I came to UE and they opened their arms. I always joke that they gave me an overseas scholarship. It was $3,000, and I've always been so thankful because I still think that they made that up just to help the guy from Venezuela that came. So it was wonderful. Evansville welcomed us with open arms, and me, and then eventually my wife. So I was dating Daniela at the time. We were 3 years dating.
And this is 1997?
97.
Okay.
So right after I got out, I proposed because I was like, So my dad always claims that she organized the whole thing. So
Gotta get this guy, gotta get him doing something.
Too stubborn.
His feet are stuck. We need to get him moving.
Yeah.
That's one way to train you, I guess.
So that's the story. How 1997, you get two crazy Venezuelans in here that.
No, we love you. Every time we've hung out with you, we've had so much fun, and Danielle is beautiful and so nice, and so it's just really awesome to see. That's the type of story that makes you see immigration and really love immigration, and the fact you guys come here and work hard, you build your family, but kind of what. The other things that we're seeing in the immigration side is, I think, where we've gone off the rails a little bit. Like, I don't even know what's going on with Somali and Haitian things. I've never really heard and understood how they get here, who's paying for it, how's it getting paid for, But I don't. We have so many different directions that we could go. So let's just kind of fast forward to. America has basically, Venezuela's always been kind of in the conversation of, we know it's a strategic threat for and Russia and China trying to, come in and buy land there. It creates a choke point. And I've got a bunch of clips. I don't know if we'll get to any of them, but like the one thing that has resonated with me, because I've really been listening to a bunch of different podcasts on Venezuela and why, because you hear all the propaganda on Trump is, it doesn't matter what Trump does, 50% of the people aren't going to like what he does.
Right.
It could be something a Democrat could have done and they would have loved it. Like Venezuela, I think, is a pretty good example. I think if Obama or Biden had captured Maduro and started the process of freeing, Venezuela from that dictatorship, that they would have looked at it differently, and maybe Republicans would have frowned upon it. You don't know. You're not going to win.
So let me tell you what we felt in Venezuela and what happened to Venezuela in many ways. Communism is extremely good at controlling the message. They're experts at it. So I think what we miss is that by design, okay, and this is what Ronald Reagan said, the only way really to take down the United States is from inside, from within, okay? They have been siloing our society for a long time, where we all feel that we're in camps, and it's my camp and nobody's gonna take me out of this camp, okay? And that is really, really bad for democracy and for a society to just be. They did the same thing to us in Venezuela. We were just Venezuelans, We didn't. everybody had racism one way or another. We had slavery, but the difference is we got rid of slavery in the Revolutionary War. Okay, but I always joke about it that we're all coffee and milk. It depends how much coffee and how much milk you put in the formula. Right? Yeah. You know, we're going to be a little darker. We're going to be a little lighter. We're going to be, you know, that's it. But they started siloing us in classes. They started siloing us in parties. They started siloing a society is the easiest way to just make enemies of each other and started taking down each other.
Very
and I
well
think
said.
that's what is happening here. Okay, that we cannot talk to each other. We cannot be laugh at each other with each other, which is the worst thing to do. And we get offended by anything. I mean, you cannot say the people that have glasses and the people that don't have glasses, they have beards or they have. I mean, it's like that is the problem that we have. So when that happens, okay, you start deconstructing, okay, what brings us together, okay. So that's what we started talking about, you know, flag and burning the flag, or taking the knee, or all these things. The one thing that always brought us together was the United States, the country. Okay, we might have been in difference of opinion on how to achieve certain things. You know, we all care about the neighbor. We all did. I haven't seen any country in the world that cares more about their neighbor than the United States. It's just that we go by different ways of doing it. The Democrats and the liberals they want to do it through a government, and we want to do it through private enterprise. Okay, but we all care. Okay, I got friends on the left that nobody can tell that they hate the country. Well, they do. Okay,
in a lot of ways, I think they do.
But then like we have made this society that is 50-50. Well, I think that social media is just reinforcing that initial feeling. The silo is everything, and I'm not saying anything, you know, earth-shattering, right? I mean, the social media, we get in there. There's that algorithm, and it keeps giving us what feeds us, what feeds our soul, okay? And it's the wrong thing to do, because we need to be challenged every time. We need to be challenged to understand what you think. We need to be challenged to understand, to learn to express myself in a way that I'm being heard, okay? We need to write books that are able to explain our positions. We need to create a message that says, hey, you know, IU is the best football team.
Heck yeah, they are.
That's right.
Exactly, right?
To this, all we can agree.
Well,
no, that's true.
Ask Rick Martin at Purdue.
Who's that?
But my point
I didn't even know they had a football team this year. Did you?
Oh,
I just know that I always say they're PU. So yeah.
Right. So, but the point is that they have siloing us, right, and pitting us against each other.
I think it's education and it's media. So I mean, not just social media, but I mean the media companies have. It feels to me, first, there's 7 companies that own all the media companies. So it's like they're all conglomerated. It's all one message. Mm-hmm. If something good, like for instance, we're in the world of Trump right now. So good, bad, or whether you like him or not, the media has decided that he sells a lot of media. And if they're all attacking him, he could do 8 great things. They find the one thing that they're going to pick apart on him, and of course he loses his mind, and and it just sells. It's clickbait for them.
Yeah, flip somebody off at a Ford plant.
But Trump learned that because the problem is the media was so again. I mean, go back to Ronald Reagan and the Actors Guild Award and the Writers Guild. Not award, the Actors Guild and the Writers Guild. Okay, well, they were supposed. I mean, look at all the writings of Ronald Reagan. The writers in California and in LA, they were supposed to write, okay, at least one sentence of socialist propaganda, you know, all the time, at least one sentence all the time. In just to make sure that they had I guess the wrong impression on all these, but I think that's the problem that we have, right? We have a media conglomerate, like you said, or company that basically is trying to get away from from all our challenges that we have in.
Well, I've dug.
the United
We've been
States.
digging pretty deep into this, just trying to get to the root of what's going on, and we've also talked quite a bit about the education systems in schools. I mean, you said it yourself. We have our kids, especially because with social media, it makes it easier. But we could also say a lot of the people that want communism and us to be fractured love the social media because it does distract them, and it channels the things into their brains that they want. But I will say, like, there is a big movement amongst people that want freedom and democracy, a constitutional republic, to focus on robust debates again.
Right.
Like teaching our kids, here's you got to engage in civics. If you ignore it, I mean, our founding fathers said it a very long time ago. It's like you have to hold the government accountable. You have to know how to ask questions. You need to know that you're in control of this thing, because if you let someone else take control, it turns into a dictatorship.
Right.
It turns into they're going to take the power and control the messaging and control the narratives, and that's exactly what has happened. And so, the education for me, I have an education degree, and I've said it a bunch of times on the podcast, is like I knew it was a foul back in the mid 90s. It just like everything was changing, and it was control. It basically ran by bureaucrats.
Yeah.
And so, but it's taken 25 years to really see it now. Like it's so obvious how things changed from when we were in high school. But probably you were still, well, you went into a smaller community. So Travis went to in a Tell City, and so it was a smaller town and really
But
good
it was
school
the
system.
same thing in Venezuela for us. I mean, we had a robust history based on facts, for example. It was the same thing. In fact, our education system was extremely good. I mean, you talk to Venezuelans around the world, they're extremely well educated. Okay, but that now you see it, they do the same thing.
So when Maduro or Chavez or Maduro, when they were in power, had the education system stayed pretty well? Or I mean, tell me kind of what happened and when it happened for you.
So Chavez gets elected, and then of course it starts changing the education and the same thing, changing the books, okay, the textbooks, it's the same thing. The revision of history, okay, it's just the same thing you're seeing here, the exact same thing, okay.
And when did that start, do you think?
That right after.
Right after.
Yeah.
So it basically was immediately they started changing history.
But, I mean, first thing he did, you know what he did? Think about what was the first thing that you think he did?
Chavez?
Yeah, one of the first things, I mean, early on in his...
Was he murderous in the beginning?
Build a new house or something? Or I don't know.
He canceled the gun permits.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He canceled
the gun permits.
Gun permits.
of course. I should have seen that one coming a mile.
That's
Should have said that.
typical communism.
Yeah.
is
First thing that
get
goes.
rid of the guns.
Well, he couldn't round up all the guns because we had a lot of guns just like here. But they had
Just look around.
all the we love. My grandfather had guns. I mean, some of the stuff is beautiful that he had. But you cancel the permits, which makes it illegal to carry a gun out in the open.
Yeah.
So they can immediately arrest you for just having your gun outside.
Oh, so you had open carry?
Well, with a permit. With
a permit.
But
you could carry it on your
license.
side.
Yeah.
You could carry it on your side. People could see it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks for coming.
No, actually, it was concealed. Concealed.
Oh, it was concealed.
Not open carry.
Okay.
It was concealed.
Okay.
So concealed, but you can carry it. Now, it was not as open as here, but you can still, you can go and apply for your permit, and it was a little bit of a hassle to get it, but they knew who had everything.
Oh, sure.
I mean, all the guns, and the like here, you have a carry permit, right? I mean, it's
not anymore.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore, but you do. I still have mine. So
We've gotten better.
Well, actually, I still have mine, but
no, I have it in my wallet. Don't need it. But
the point that I'm trying to make is you had it here is open for any gun, right? No, over there, each license was specific to a serial number to a gun. So they knew every gun where it was.
Okay.
So that was one of the first things he said that he did. The other thing was change the constitution.
Sure.
Change the school system. Okay, and this came later, but it was the idea that the children were under the custody of the state because they wanted to ensure that the children were being educated. So think about that. Mothers
properly.
when mothers in Venezuela heard that, it was just a revolution, right? But they still left it there. Now they didn't enforce it, okay? But they had the ability to do it. So now, if you want, okay, so I've given you all the history and all and I not even close to everything that really happened, right?
And in about 30 minutes, you gave us the entire history. It's about an hour, but about an hour.
But then we started. 30 years, okay, of systematically doing this stuff. Oh, another thing was taking companies away. So this is what is very important. Chavez. So Caldera, right before Chavez, Caldera on the second term, he started opening oil industry to private industry, and that was I did my thesis in college here. It was about that. It was great. It was a great idea. Let's do it. It's gonna really reinvigorate the oil industry and all that. Chavez came in, closed that, nationalized everything again, and took away the concessions, the U.S. Oil concessions that the U.S. had at the time, took it away without paying a lot or not what it used to be before. So that's what Trump says, that they took our oil away. Is that they took the concessions. So that's why you see the oil companies going like, we're not going to go again for a third time, and whoever comes in and takes it away.
So just to clarify, when you say, so it was our oil because our companies came in and invested and built the infrastructure to pull all of it.
Yeah.
And so then Chavez basically just pulled the rug out.
Pulled the rug. Not only oil, it was rare minerals, it was other things as well. For example, as Mexico, they took away the company was making the cement in Venezuela. It was Cemex. The Mexican company makes cement. They had a plant in Venezuela. They nationalized it. Gone. Just like that. But not only international companies and all that, but they did it to Venezuelans. They took, Chavez, one of the things that he took away was, when he was growing up, he was very envious of a ranch that was next to him when he was growing up. He took it away and gave it to the brother. Okay? He took away, he would walk through the street and would go, take it away, take it away, take it away. Buildings that were empty, farmlands that were not being farmed, all in the interest of socialism. Okay?
Well, this sounds very familiar to everything that, I'm trying not to listen too much to Madami in New York City, but he's basically saying a lot of the same things.
Yeah, of course.
And he
said that ownership of houses is bad and should be given away to everybody.
Yeah, they want rent control and all of those things.
Well, because it's a very enticing. So again, remember what I told you about the middle class?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very enticing. If we lose the middle class, we're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm not saying to prop up the middle class with social programs. I'm talking about making sure that the middle class has the fertile ground to really flourish.
The crazy thing, and this, I don't even know how to address this question, Alfonso, because we are in a very unique time in our country and with technology and with AI that manufacturing and all of the standard jobs and that usually hold up the middle class are going to be changing so rapidly, and with robotics and all that. Like, I feel like we are kind of in this weird window where you have to, and me and Travis have talked about this, and I think it left a sour taste in both of our mouths, but Elon Musk talking about universal basic income. Me and Dr. Roy talked about, just listen to this. So assume Dr. Roy was in medical school 50 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's going to cost him $300,000 to do that, and he's a specialist or whatever he does. He gets into the field working for 5 or 10 years. Next thing you know, AI can do basically his job. And so now what's he doing? Retraining what? What is he retraining towards? How much is that going to cost? And can he even do that? I mean, there's so many ifs that are going to happen here where I don't want to just discredit Mandami. I think we really have to have conversations about what he's saying to people, because he got voted in by a bunch of people that were frustrated. It's very similar to when Chavez got brought in. They were upset because they thought their quality of life was diminishing. They couldn't own a house. I mean, my 21-year-old doesn't think he's ever going to be able to own a house because prices keep going skyrocketing and everything is so expensive, and you can't get a high enough paying job to keep up with everything and eat and all these things. That used to be a much easier thing when the prices were down and you could go get a good job, you could save, and the middle class was pretty. It was easy to get there. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's nearly as easy now just for kids to think about, but also with the rapid changing of how things are going to happen. Like, we really have to force these conversations to figure out where we're going to go.
I totally agree. Now, look at how we lost the middle class and then socialism came. It was not the other way around. Okay, that's important. So we failed. Okay, I think that Venezuelan society failed the middle class. Okay, to make sure that they were able to flourish. Okay, to be.
You think Venezuela failed the middle?
I think so.
Class? Okay.
Yeah, because Chavez is not the one to blame. Chavez is a result of what we lived, and it was. Sadly, the generation of my parents and my grandparents that did something that screwed it up. Okay? So now, that's a very simplistic way to say it, right? But we did lose the middle class. And then, sorry.
We're going to get into the flu segment here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I went
That's
off
a doc.
Got it right.
I went off on a coughing fit for a while.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, the problem is that we lost the middle class, and then socialism, communism were like, hey, we are your savior. Yeah. Well, they were not. And not because the ideas are maybe wrong, or which we can get into that, okay? It's because what it did, okay? It facilitated a group of thugs to get in power and stay in power by force. That's the problem.
Yep.
Okay? The problem is not the ideas, which debatable. Okay? Because I think that, and I can, say the individualism is ingrained in our humanity, and it cannot be taken away by the populism or by the collectivism. Okay? So having said that, we lost our chance to show that capitalist and free market economy could work in a South American country. Now, having said that, again, that's a very simplistic way to say it, because the world forces pushed the oil prices down,
right.
And then
you were basically held. So, you were at their whim, no matter however the tide was going.
So, but okay, why did we keep the country only propped by oil? Because our own greed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, your leader was getting rich.
No. We all wanted the fast riches.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We as a society were very comfortable saying, you know what?
Let's spend it now.
Let's spend it.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's when you talk about the greatest generation and all that, how they build a country and how they had to work. So my son says something that it's that this is the youngest one. I think you know Martin. He always says that good times. What is it? Bad times create a good man. Strong man creates
Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men destroy your country. I mean, it's a big cycle.
Which I think that's what's going on. So that, I think, is the key. It's not so much to debate the merits of ideology. It's to make sure that we have a middle class and that they can, by their individual force or their individual effort, can get where they want to get. I think that's the key.
Well, and we've just done a terrible job of that messaging. I mean, I'll blame it on education. I can blame it on media too, again, but our kids haven't really been, like, for us growing up, and you're probably included in this, we're the same age. It's like, if you want a better life, you got to go out and work your ass off.
Right.
Sure.
And make money, and it's going to happen. And well, I mean, people could work their ass off, and like everything getting more expensive. It's like a dangling carrot that you can never quite grab for a lot of people, especially at this age.
So my dad was somewhat successful. I mean, he had businesses and all the stuff, and everybody would come to him and say, "Oh, you're very lucky." And he goes, yeah, I work very hard for my luck, you know, because that's what it is. But the concept of hard work is long gone too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like news, right? The news of Walter Cronkite and all those are long gone. Mm-hmm. You know, what we get is a product, and they're trying to make us buy a product in both sides, right?
Trying to get us to be afraid of things.
Yeah.
And me and Doc, and Travis talk about, obviously, the industry he's been in for 50 plus years, the sickness industry. It's really not the healthcare industry. It hasn't been for a very long time. And so we built an economy basically on pharmaceuticals and control, and then you know, we're making people have less drive. We're handing a lot of free things to a lot of people.
Yeah, that is the number one mistake.
Well, I mean, you look at Minnesota, and so when you said something about we failed the middle class, and then basically the thugs took over. Mm-hmm. I think where that has changed now, like the whole thing that you see in Minnesota with all the rioting and craziness, to me, that's nothing but those people are out there. They're out there because of Somalians, and they're a bunch of white people and a bunch of women that are out there screaming. So they don't. I don't know what they're fighting for, but it seems like they're there just to create fear and the thug mentality again. That way, the politicians have to cater to them. They have to, basically keep things the way they are because they're making money for doing nothing.
Well,
that's what it feels like to me.
Fear factor, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is they're coming for your guns. They're coming for your women. It's all this.
They can have mine. No, I'm kidding. Don't tell my wife.
Your gun? Exactly.
You can leave your gun here if you want.
No, my wife. No, the girl. He said your women. And
it's a good thing she doesn't listen to this.
I know, that's what I said. She doesn't listen, so it's okay.
Have another bourbon, Travis.
Have my wife.
Yeah, or maybe not, because
it's truth serum.
I didn't say no. No, just kidding.
I'm not a lightweight. It's okay.
But all that is a fear factor. It's I'm fearing you into doing something. Okay, mm-hmm. For the longest time, I know I can tell. I've never felt racism here in the United States or anything like that. But there was one time that it was kind of iffy, right? I called and this is a guy in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. You know,
that's different.
Yeah, you'll get racism.
Well, but you know, I know people get confused with my accent. It's from Kentucky. It's not.
I've never thought that.
Yeah, no, I didn't feel like you might have come.
Yeah, I tried to convince people.
South, but further south.
Yeah, exactly.
Slightly.
Well, but the point is, I'm trying to make an appointment. I'm in sales, right? I'm trying to make an appointment. The guy, don't do that to me. I mean, one time I called the guy every 30 minutes for a day until finally he answered the phone. But this guy was not giving me an appointment. He finally gives me an appointment, and I'm in a little room, waiting for him to, you dial the phone, when you had to dial. Landlines, mm-hmm. And I said, okay, I'll be there. He comes in and all that, and opens the door, looks at me. There's nobody else in the 10 by 10 room, and closes the door. I'm like, okay, whatever, Opens the door, he says, "Are you Alfonso?" And I say, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, you don't look like you sound." I said, okay, that's whatever, I don't care, So I finished the appointment and all the stuff. I go back to my boss, and to his credit, he goes, "What?" I mean, he gets super upset, and I go, "Why are you upset?" So, "Well, that guy is racist. We're not going to sell anything to him and all that stuff." I said, "What are you talking about? I want to sell him now twice what I was going to sell him, because if I sell, I win." And I think that's a mentality, that we're missing. I challenge African American kids, Latino kids all the time on that. Is that drop the idea that you're owed something. Drop the idea, okay, because nobody's going to give you anything. And you know what? Nobody's going to give anybody anything else. You have to go and get it, okay? But here's the beauty. Here, you can't. Because in other countries, you simply cannot. Because if you try, you might end up in jail. Mm-hmm. Literally, just by trying to work hard. Well, now I know that everybody's gonna tell my kids, go, "Well, Dad, I mean, look at what they're doing here." I get it. I know that it's hard and it's disheartening.
But it's not getting kidnapped.
It's not getting kidnapped. That's what I said. When I was kidnapped.
Right, exactly.
Oh, Dad.
I'm sorry.
There he goes again.
That was a good one. You had to.
Sorry.
So I think we cannot fail them, okay? But by setting up the opportunities for them to thrive, or for all of us to thrive, really. And that's, I think, what we failed in Venezuela. That's what brought in Chavez, and that's what got us 30 years, or close to 30 years, of the Chavista movement. Now, we can talk about elections, and about the Smartmatic machines, and all that stuff, and it's scary. Well,
let's talk about that, because back in 2020, the podcast wasn't going, but when the election, all the controversy was going on, and the data wasn't lining up. I mean, I'm a data guy. Every person that I talked to that was in data and looked at numbers and looked at things, like nothing lined up.
No.
With
it's very well. I say it's very simple. I don't know this for a fact. I was not there in Venezuela. This is hearsay and all that. But here's the reality of it. I don't know if I should say reality.
It's your hypothesis.
Opinion. Hypothesis. Thank you. Thank you. In your light way of Alfonso Vidal. But here's the thing. The Smartmatic machines, okay, were implemented in Venezuela in the elections a long time ago, before here, I think. And what happens is what we notice there is that they start counting. So after the election day, okay, and all the centers are starting to close and all that, they start counting. And for some reason, always count. A computer cannot count immediately, of course. Yeah, sure. But then it goes all the way to midnight, and at midnight they shut down the count. And next day comes up again, but it's flipped, the numbers.
That sounds familiar.
That does. Yeah. I should have brought those.
So
graphs.
I can tell you, my dad would talk to me about that. And I'm like, yeah, Dad. I mean, like me kidnapped with the kids and all that. I'm like, yeah, Dad, my dad. But here's the thing. When I saw it here, and I saw it for the first time in 2020, right? That they shut down the counting. I've never seen the United States shutting down the counting, the counting of the votes. That was weird. So that's all I can say. Smartmatic, same machines, which, by the way, the company I think some of the ownership is in Venezuela, okay? And how that same system got here, I have no clue.
Well, there's rumors part of Trump bringing Maduro here was getting to the bottom of Dominion and the different voting things that come through Venezuela.
So I don't know. I'm not I think there's a very simple solution. You know, use whatever you want to count. Computers. I mean, everybody's like, oh, computers, this great, black magic. No, it's not. I mean,
black magic.
Yeah. all you do, I think, is you give a receipt to everybody that votes. Give a receipt, and then everything is printed.
That's what India does.
Yeah, and that's all you do. And then if you want to prove that you voted, here it is. And then you can gather all the vote. I know it's a lot of work, but oh my God.
So what are your thoughts on ID, voter ID?
Oh, you got to ID everybody. I mean, who the heck thinks that not IDing somebody is a good idea?
That was beaten into our head for years.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, don't say sorry, but I got a bigger word for that.
Yeah. But, because I mean, we get IDs for everything, and now we cannot ID somebody to go to vote. Oh, Jesus Christ, come on, So, but here on the voting, all you do, you count, and you know what you do? After the voting is done, after the counting is done, we do it in manufacturing all the time. And cards don't explode by doing this method. It's you sample, a certain amount of the voting centers. And if you come up with a reliable sample of what is happening, that's what you do. And then you open up. In plastic, all the time, we used to have quality control. Yeah. All you do is you have, let's say we receive a vendor, and the vendor is a good vendor. You only did maybe every 5 boxes, right? You test it, and if it came good, you're good, because you can assume that the rest are good. Right. Now you could be wrong, but that's.
Well, if you get a bad one, then you can control that group.
There you go. It's very simple. Yeah. It's very simple. Okay, so that to me, it's just there are simple solutions that politics gets in the way of everything, right? But
it's not politics. That's just corruption. I mean, the only way that you want to control how votes are handled is if you're wanting to manipulate them. There's no real so voting is very simple.
Yeah. So
I could hand each of us a piece of paper, and we could say yes or no. and it's a
That's
vote,
it.
and that's all it should be.
So, but here's the thing. Maria Corina Machado, the lady that won the Nobel.
One that and Maduro didn't leave.
I say this with a great deal of caution. Okay, she's a distant family of mine. Her grandmother was my mom's grandmother's sister. So
It's not that distant.
no,
That's not super distant. No.
no, but it is somewhat distant. And I say this because I want to frame what I'm about to say. The brilliance that the Maria Corina and Edmundo González and all that did, and that's why they won the Nobel Peace Prize, is that they were able to prove to the world that there was corruption and the election was rigged by mobilizing technology and all the people to take out those
Ballots.
receipts. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ballots. Okay. To the world and show it to the world. Here it is.
So
That's why Maduro is not president. That's why people say Trump took president. No, he didn't take a president. He took a dictator.
yes. So back up, because most people probably didn't understand what you just said there about what happened, and most people I don't think in America understand that Maduro was not duly elected.
Right.
They don't know how it happened, and
Right.
and the story you just told about the Nobel Peace Prize. Explain that just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like
So we've been going through elections that we knew that they were rigged, but nobody could prove it. In fact,
for many years.
yeah, knucklehead. What's his name? President, the peanut farmer.
Biden?
No, the peanut farmer.
Peanut farmer. I'm not sure who.
President Carter. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
Carter, right? He has this election insurance, a non-for-profit, and goes around the world certifying elections. He's a knucklehead. He's a freaking idiot. He was. I should
God rest his soul.
Go rest his soul. Yeah. But he certified two elections in Venezuela. It was like, you got to be kidding me. Okay? That's
Things
what-
that we didn't know in America. Did you ever hear that story?
No.
Yeah.
You had heard that?
I did.
No, I haven't. heard that.
So here's the thing. So he goes, certifies the election and all that, but they were rigged. Okay?
Yeah.
Because of the Smartmatic machines. Okay? All right. So now all the details of that, I really don't know. I'm not that expert.
But so
I'm just a dumb engineer.
So some people, two people won the Nobel Peace Prize because they
No, one.
One person because they figured out.
So Maria Corina stood up against Chavez back in, this is early 2000, somewhere around there. So we were so excited in our family to see her this is a Iron Woman, if you know what I mean. You know, this was an amazing woman that stood up for that. She could have ended up in jail any time. Well, there were several elections, the opposition and this and that. So eventually it comes her time. This is then 20-something years later, almost 30 years later. She is now the preferred candidate. She has unified the opposition. This is back, I want to say...
24? 20,
yes. I think
2024, 2023, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere.
I don't know where you're. I don't know if they're the same.
No, somewhere in there, in that range. So she's running for it. The government knowing that she's going to win. Oh, because here's the thing: if there's a short margin or a small margin, okay, they can make these cheats, okay. But if there's a big margin, they cannot do it. Okay, and I don't understand enough because of the statistics of it and all that. That's why the numbers don't match and all that stuff. But I don't know enough. But the point is that they realize, she's going to win, and she's going to win big. Okay,
Can't fudge the numbers.
right? You cannot fudge the numbers at her numbers.
Yes.
They basically said, for a technicality, they took her out of the ballot and said, you cannot run.
Yeah.
Okay. Now think about this. So you get to the opposition that is going to win and say, no, you can't. They didn't put it in person, but they did that. So, brilliant. This woman is brilliant, I tell you. And it's not because it's a family.
You're a little biased. I'm not.
No, but I tell you why I'm saying all this, because I'm going to get to the other part of Trump's, the aftermath of Maduro's taking. Okay, so it's a brilliant woman, right? Goes in there and says, you know what, we're going to pick... And this is exaggerating a little bit, the poor González. But Edmundo González, this is a little old guy. They put him at the last minute. Nobody knew this guy. I mean, he came out of nowhere, okay? But she said, she had the humbleness to say, I'm going to be behind him. I cannot run, elect him, and I'm going to be behind him. I mean, who does that? What politician does that? She does that. They win. He wins, but everybody talks about Maria Corina, of course. But he wins, and he's going to be president. Probably. We don't know what he was going to do with it, but whatever that agreement was. But then, they mobilize. I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people to make sure that the day of the election was all recorded the way it should be recorded. So when the Smartmatic machines came up and shut down the election count and went in the next day, it was all already in the ballots in proven print. And they had just scanned it out. Who knows what they did and all that. But you go to the Nobel Peace Prize speech of the guy that is in charge of the Nobel Peace Prize, and you can see, exactly what she did. That's why she wins the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they were able to prove to the world through conviction and peace and not being thugs in the street or fighting in the street or doing what these people are doing, preventing ICE doing their job and all that stuff, because that's not the way to do it. Martin Luther King, okay, was able to protest peacefully and change the world, okay? And it's the same thing that Maria Corina did, peacefully protest by showing the proof, using technology, being smart about it and outsmart your opposition.
Well, the cool thing about it is we could do that locally now, and we can do that. We can do that at our level, and we will do that.
So then I'm going to now tell you why I admire this woman, right? Now it comes Trump takes out Maduro and all that, and announces that he's going to be dealing with the old Chavistas. We were all like, what? Are you crazy? But immediately.
So we're talking about transition now. So Maduro's been yanked out. The big concern is now you just got to vacuum.
We were dancing, right? It was Maduro's out.
I saw the videos.
Yeah.
Mainstream media did.
It was like, I put the first post, I knew what everybody was going to say. And the first thing I said was, every Venezuelan is happy about this at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
Okay? Because I knew everybody was going to say, oh, this poor guy, Trump is a thug and all that. You know what? Trump is Trump. Trump is Trump, right? We all know it.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is true. I cannot deny that, right? But then he goes and says, we're working with what's her name? Delcy, vice president.
Tulsi Gabbard?
Yeah. No, not Tulsi, the Venezuelan vice president.
Okay, sorry.
Escapes me, but it doesn't matter. And Padrino Lopez and all these people that were Chavistas. And Chavistas comes from the name Chavez, right? But that have been doing this thing with Maduro, that have expanded the criminal enterprise in a country. Okay.
Delcy Rodriguez?
Delcy, thank you. Delcy Rodriguez, thank you.
Sorry.
So have done all this stuff. The first thing that Trump does is says, well, Maria Corina, I think she's a nice lady, but nobody likes her in Venezuela. Like, come on.
Right.
Why would you say that? Well, but immediately I understood. In Iraq, Paul Bremer disbanded the Iraqi forces. And the Iraqi forces, without telling Bush, and the Iraqi forces became guerrilla warfare against the United States, and we stayed there forever. So I think that finally somebody learned and said, we're going to take the head, okay? And that tells everybody, you do it. If you don't do what I say, look what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then tells everybody, come on, you're going to work with me. Okay, and the brilliance of Marco Rubio is that he knows communists. He knows South America. He comes from a family that had to leave communism because they were going to. It was bad. He knows South America. Okay, and he's the one leading this whole thing. And I was trying at this point in seconds. I'm trying to make sense of. You're going to work with Chavistas? What the heck, Trump?
Well, you have to. People have talked about this, and one of the big arguments for Trump is, well, here we go. We're going to do this big regime change again, and it's going to end up worse than it was. But here's the thing that I was hearing a lot, and I had to cancel it because it was so silly. They're like, well, that duly elected president should get inserted right in, and what I said was, first of all, she probably wouldn't survive very long. Second of all, you've got entrenched powers, the Chavistas, that there's no alignment.
Right.
So there's going to be a transition window.
She might have been killed.
Yes.
So that's my point. So I explained everything I said about Maria Corina. I admire the lady. It's almost family.
But she's been in hiding, right?
She's
basically,
been in hiding
since Maduro basically stole the
And
election.
did you read how she got out of Venezuela?
It's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
The CIA and that's another movie. You know, so
We've got 2 blockbusters already.
yeah. And then you know what's the third one is?
What's that?
IU.
There you go.
Now you're just sucking up the
Fluffing our skirt.
Hey,
Well done, sir.
hey, talk about messaging.
He is in sales. He's in sales. He's in sales, I tell you.
So, but the point is that once I realized that she had the votes, definitely, she had the votes. There's no doubt that she had the votes, and I know it. We know it. Everybody in Venezuela knows it. We wanted to see her, with a flag, in a horse, white horse, by the way, coming in and saving the Venezuela. But the reality was that the other Chavistas were there, and the military was there, and they were probably not going to let her.
All the corruption is there.
Yeah.
That didn't go away.
So
People
in
are getting
reality,
paid in certain
the
ways.
pragmatic and the logical thing to do was to say, all right, let's take a step back here. Let's figure this out.
Not gonna happen overnight.
It's not going to happen overnight. Let's send Marco Rubio, who had no beef in the whole thing, and all that. Let's put everybody in place. Let's restart the oil industry. Let's pay back whoever not got paid, even Venezuelans that took. I have friends that lost companies and industry and factories and all that, and they had to leave to Panama, Colombia. I can tell you about all that. It was not only the gringos like the said. So you set her up, and I hope to be successful then. And then I hope.
We're still talking about your family member, right?
Yeah.
And so
Maria Corina.
and she fought for 30 years basically trying to get in power.
Yeah.
So how old is she now?
So she's younger than my mom a little.
She looks 30, by the way.
Yeah.
You gotta be nice. I don't know.
So she's probably 60s,
Okay.
somewhere in there.
So for as far as presidency goes, that's probably right in the wheelhouse. Depending on Obama was a little younger, but obviously Trump and Biden were both older.
So the daughter looks like to be about 30, 40, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And the daughter was the one that gave the speech in at the Nobel Peace Prize. Another remarkable woman. So very impressive, to be honest.
So what's your insider idea of talking to your family? How do you see it shaking out as far as timelines? Is there? I know you can't really talk about a plan in broad daylight because the Chavistas and the people in power are basically.
Sure.
It's got to be a chess game for a while. But if I want to stay and be really happy about being a Venezuelan and living there in 10 or 20 years, knowing that it's going to be better than it was with Maduro there, what are our steps here? Where are we going with it?
So a couple things. You have to restart the oil industry.
Sure.
It's not what it used to be. I think they're maybe 10% of what it used to be.
And it's not because the reserves are they're still all
No, because of production. Because the people. Well, another thing that Chavez did, he attacked all the real professionals of the oil industry. I can tell you, uncountable. I don't know if that's a word, but friends that were chemical engineers. My wife is a chemical engineer.
Okay.
Graduated with a lot of them. They left the company in tears because they were proud of the company.
So what I think I sense you're saying is, instead of having quality people that knew how to work the oil fields and doing that, they brought in his people and whatever, and they didn't know what they were doing. So it's mismanagement and
total mismanagement.
Yeah.
Total mismanagement. So because they knew that anybody, it's a long story. It's another podcast. But total mismanagement. Okay. So
I have to imagine that they probably weren't incentivized by making more money to go after more oil because they were being controlled. It had nothing to do with volume.
They don't care because it was an affront to their power.
Well, it wasn't capitalist. It wasn't built out. This is how much.
You know what happened is they got upset with Chavez at some point, and all the oil workers then how you say when unions strike?
Yeah,
they went to strike, and then Chavez went like, "Oh, you're gonna go to strike? You're out," and fired them all.
At least he fired him and didn't shoot him.
Right. That's a good point.
I cut you
might
off.
have done that.
I cut you off. I think you were trying to say like long-term plan.
Oh, long-term plan. I do think that. So, many of my Venezuelan friends might get upset about this, but we need an adult to take care of the teenagers. Okay, and we do. I mean, it's sad, but it is true. If it's left to us, it's not gonna work. Okay.
Well,
let me say. So there's a transition. I think 1-2 years there's gonna be a transition. I will tell you, there's gonna be a lot of money being made in Venezuela right now.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have wildcats or wild kind of lone wolves type thing. They're gonna go in there and try to pump that oil out of Venezuela. They're oil wells. Stop.
Do you watch Landman?
Yeah. Oh my God, that's one of the best.
One of the best movies ever made.
Yeah, we're gonna see Tommy going down there. He just got fired.
And it's
I don't know if I should say that.
Oh,
oh my God!
I'm not caught up yet.
Now we're not even going to release this podcast episode.
Man.
I'm going to have people harassing us. So I want to circle back around, and you can finish what you're saying, but we can't do it ourselves. I just want to explore that, and I think I understand why, but I want you to tell me how I'm wrong or fill in the blanks. So your country is ran by a dictator and militants and thuggery. You don't have, it's like asking me to be vice president of an oil company with no experience.
Right.
Because you don't, you have to have a succession of people coming into it and leading, and they're a good leader or they're not a good leader, and they've been voted in or they've been voted out, and you don't have any of that. Of that planning pulling into.
Think about this. It's not like Islam, in the sense that I always said that in the world we have three big forces fighting against each other. Okay, you had communism, socialism, Islam, and capitalism and free economy and democracy. You have those three, and they expand and contract depending on each other and countries and all that stuff, right? In Venezuela, we have socialism, capitalism, socialism, communism. That is interest at the end only on money and power. Okay, there's no real conviction on socialism. Okay.
Yeah, there's no hierarchy. What are you really working to get to?
Right.
Yeah.
So all they want is they achieve power. They're going to sustain power. Chavez was very smart about implementing a system of corruption that kept everybody in power. There are people making millions of dollars per day. Okay, so they're not going to let that go. And that's what I always told my mom and dad and everybody in my family down there is they're not going to let that go unless somebody comes and makes them do it. And that's Trump. That's why we're so happy. Because they were not going to let it go. You think, I mean, people would vote. I remember my friends, we went to Chicago one time to vote, and and I would tell them, it's not going to change. Why you have to be like that, Alfonso? Because I'm the Latino that likes Trump, so I'm like that. I'm the Antichrist in many places, right?
Are you possessed?
Exactly, right? But here's the point. That was a system they were not just going to let it go. Not only that they were making a lot of money, the other thing is, if they let that go, they were in prison or dead. So it was for a survival that they had to stay in power. Okay. So now Trump comes and takes the head out, and guess what? He's probably gonna allow these other people to continue making money. And you know what? In a way, it's gut-wrenching to see all these Chavistas being able to continue and being free and enjoy, and their children enjoy all this corruption and that what they have put this country through, okay, for 30 years. But if that's the price that we have to pay, okay, to move forward, okay, and get our country back.
Well, I have a very good friend, David, who I consult with all the time. He helps kind of steer the podcast, and Uncle Dave. He's often referred to this because we have these different conversations about the different politicians that we need, and we've had a long-standing conversation about Trump. I mean, Trump was never my guy from the beginning, but it was from we were approaching it with tension. We want the best candidate for the thing. Like no one we wouldn't have survived, I think, if Trump wouldn't have won. He's the only one that can get shot at, can get everything slung at him, and it's like stuff just falls off of him. So
well, he has the strength to withstand everything, to take it.
Well, and so my friend, he always says, he's like, we really consider ourselves a constitutional republic, and we're trying to maintain a democracy, whatever the democracy means. I don't know that we are a democracy, but he's like, every once in a while you just need a really good benevolent dictator. he says it in a chuckling manner, because when we think dictator, we think of Chavez, we think of you think of someone that's authoritarian, and they're doing it with bad intent.
Yeah.
Every once in a while you need somebody to come in with good intent and say, I'm doing what I'm doing because the Venezuelan people need this now. I'm not winning from it. I'm not making money from it. This is just what you need. And that's not the way our system is. But yours is so bad. It became so bad over the years. Like, what else do you really do?
What else do you do?
So it seems like Trump is a benevolent dictator for Venezuela.
So I'll tell you. I mean, my mom was like, "Hey, tell Trump that I make him a little soup or something." And I mean, she was like all in. My dad, who brilliant engineer, brilliant businessman, and all that, but don't ask him anything about politics. Unlike my grandfather and my aunt, his sister.
Isn't it funny?
Brilliant.
Funny how families are.
Yeah, brilliant in. She was brilliant in politics. Very smart. She was part of the ministries and all that stuff, and she welcomed Mother Teresa in Venezuela. One of the first. I mean, we
could have a podcast just with all the stories of your family.
Yeah, I know. But the point of that is that. My dad, who was completely disheartened, okay? This is the same guy that told me that Chavez was going to be gone because they were going to be gone. He was completely disheartened. Just think about it. All his children and they're gone, right? And what he wanted for his life, it was to retire in Venezuela and have their children and their grandchildren and all that stuff, right? So I feel for him. I really feel for him.
Because he had it really good for a very long time.
He had to leave through my kidnapping and having to negotiate and having to do all that stuff to his son. Just think about it, okay? It was a catastrophe. It was very hard, when Trump goes and takes Maduro out, my dad goes and says, he's fucking crazy. But that's what it was,
telling us something we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, oh my God, but that's what it is.
But he does. So your dad thinks that, I don't know. So what does he think?
But no, in a good way. He's like, this guy's.
I can't believe he did it.
I cannot believe he did it. That's the point. Yeah.
And I talk about a meticulous plan. I mean, I don't know what technology they used on the people there and how he got in, but I mean, it was like the best operation that we've had.
It was scalpel precision.
It was
scalpel
crazy.
Precision.
Unbelievable.
And hearing the stories, have you heard the stories about the technology the technology weapons?
The one that the sound waves?
Yeah. And
via the drones.
Made all of them vomit there, and they were easy to kill.
Yeah. There's some. Yes, that's true. But there were some that were there vomiting and all the stuff, and you can hear it in Spanish. They're like, we just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
They came in and they rapid fire so fast again for that we couldn't do anything. They're so how you say when it's
efficient?
No, well, efficient, but meaning the enemy, the Venezuelans are so disheartened by the whole thing.
Yeah.
You think that they go and say, okay, here comes the gringos again.
Yeah.
There's not going to be anybody.
We've talked. That was all Delta Force.
Yeah, and we've talked about the technology of it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's direct energy weapon or what they're using. Sound, obviously.
Sound.
That's just crazy that they have.
They've had that for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I've seen, demonstrations of that where people volunteer to go out there and they are throwing up and completely inefficient within 30 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they had it on the back of a truck originally, and now they've got it down to a box that you can carry.
Well, obviously, because they came down from the helicopters and they just, went down. They said, I heard one of the Venezuelan soldiers said there were 20.
Yeah, there were
20.
only 20 of them.
20, and we were 100 and something.
Yeah.
Wow.
The United States is definitely a precision fighter.
Oh, I mean, we're definitely honing our skills there.
Yeah. They did well.
We got a bunch of different ways we can pivot. Doc, we were just talking about throwing up. Why don't you bridge the gap here? Talk a little bit about
throwing up and flu have nothing to do with each other.
No. So, but there's obviously a bunch of different stuff going on. There's kids are, there's a bunch of sicknesses. We're a few hackers here in the room, and tell us what's going on.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it has been a pretty bad influenza group season.
Yes,
that's I couldn't come out with that, but it's getting better. I've got the most recent, which is January 3rd. They put it out every 2 weeks, so January 17th would be the next time they'd come out with it, which is Saturday, I guess. No.
Friday, I believe.
Friday is...
No, it would be Saturday.
Yeah, Friday is the 16th,
yep,
so it'd be that. But it's going down, 24.7% trend down in that, and outpatient respiratory illnesses, 7.2% trend down, and hospital respiratory data is getting up. They're admitting more people to hospitals, but in the public, fewer people are having it. I've known people who are business owners around here that have almost had to shut down because all of their employees had influenza.
Yeah.
So, but I've got 40 pages of stuff on this that are pretty deep. But I'm not going to go into those. I'm just going to say that we're on the downstream right now for influenza. And you don't hear of COVID much anymore, but it still happens. I mean, I've had 4 or 5 patients that I've had to treat for COVID over the past, 6 weeks or so. But it works very, very well, the treatment that we have for it.
What treatment would that be, Doc?
That would be ivermectin.
Hey! Word of the day.
Oh, speaking of which...
I got a box over here. Did you bring a box?
Yeah,
Where is it?
I didn't bring a box. I brought...
There you go. I'm going on you. Oh, there you go. Give it to Doc. That works.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got one too.
There you go. I brought you 5.
Oh, bring it. Well, put it on camera.
It's all right.
Here, there. Chad's holding it. I've got it, Chad.
Chad's got it. That's
There you
the
go.
box.
So Dr. Roy has got some ivermectin that you can purchase, and my mother, who just went on a cruise to the Caribbean, took some with her.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, there's all kinds of stuff going around all the ships, so she's very well stocked and very happy about that. Yeah.
Good. So that's the whole thing with respiratory illnesses, which is basically what I've done with my life is treat respiratory illnesses. And some of the other things you wanted me to talk about was the ways that they measured whether or not people had.
Yeah, so we're hearing a lot out here that people are testing for all the different things and showing negative for all of it. And then we talked about all the COVID tests, and the problem that we had with testing not being super accurate was also
they were not very accurate, and that came out early. I remember seeing articles of people saying that they took the swab and rubbed it on a cantaloupe and sent it to the lab, and it came back positive. And if they're doing the
sounds like a voting machine.
Yeah, if they're doing the DNA and RNA on these, if you get it mixed up too much and you go just one tick beyond, they'll all be positive. Now there's some new ways to look at COVID that are they're not in widespread use yet, but I looked those up on PubMed yesterday, and these are very good and very accurate ways to look for COVID. And now that they have DNA, they just look and see if the DNA is there, the proper string of DNA.
Okay.
But now I know this: it depended on where you got your test things from. If they came from China, they were all screwed up already. They were already positive when you got them.
Oh wow!
Because
Were they shipped through Wuhan?
yeah.
No, I'm just-
Well, they were shipped from China,
right.
but all the people who were working on making those things had COVID, and so
Oh, there you
there was
Yeah.
DNA everywhere. But the ones that were made in the United States or in India were pretty accurate, and those are the ones that I used right in the height of COVID. But to jump back to
That could explain so
ivermectin,
much.
yeah.
To be honest, I mean, between my wife having it, not having it, me
Yeah.
having it, and not having it, and in the same house, or who knows?
Uh-huh.
You guys weren't forced for the shot, were you?
What?
Well, a little bit, but
That's a shame.
yeah.
My wife was. She was.
Well,
forced.
my wife, she
I was
works
forced
at
to
the
get it.
education system, so
And I was fortunate that I didn't have much in the way of side effects, but I'm still treating 3 people with long COVID from that. And I'm doing it with ivermectin. And as long as they take 1 ivermectin every day, they're fine.
So as a pulmonologist, with all the stuff crud going around, obviously we talk about ivermectin a lot, and I know you're getting ready to go there, and it is available. If you buy Dr. Roy's ivermectin, it does go to fund more additional programming. We're looking at a new podcast studio and needing some additional equipment and some maybe. If we can't get any more volunteer talent, we're going to have to pay somebody to help with the editing.
A paycheck. What's that?
Just drink another bourbon, dude. It's fine. It's fine. No, so so why don't you give people kind of like, if you're suffering with this, here's the best things that you can do. Tell them what you would do if you get, if you get flu or you think you might have flu or COVID.
Yeah. Well, the best thing that I've found to minimize getting respiratory illnesses at all is nasal iodine. And you can buy that from Amazon. You can get one little spray bottle from Amazon, and it'll last 2 or 3 months. And you spray it in each nostril once a day. And it basically kills off anything that gets in there. It kills off funguses and bacteria and viruses.
And nasal iodine doesn't have any side effects or anything that people...
No, it's very low. It's like 0.5% of iodine.
Okay.
And I have been using that for 5 years, almost 6 years now. And I haven't had a respiratory infection at all. And that's a cheap way to do it. And, the people who get COVID are still using the drugs that are put out by Pfizer that are ridiculously expensive and ridiculously worthless. And I've treated almost 200 people with ivermectin, and nobody's had to be hospitalized, and nobody died.
Well, I'm not a doctor, but me and Dr. Roy both listen to Dr. John Campbell on YouTube. Does a lot of really cool stuff. He has a really interesting way of selling things and saying things like, I'm not telling you this is what you should do, not saying this is whatever.
Is that
this
the English gentleman?
Yeah. This is just what I do, and this is what... So he does talk a lot about using ivermectin for more things than you're saying.
Yes.
You're saying ivermectin for COVID. I'm just throwing it out there. There are other doctors out there that are saying you can use COVID for if you feel
ivermectin.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry. They use it. Some use it prophylactically, which I don't. Our buddy does. He buys it in large quantities. But like if you get some people, if they're getting ready to get on an airplane or if they get a sniffle, they just start taking it and it basically nips it in the bud. From what I've heard. So that's not. I'm not.
You may be, but you can do the very same thing by using nasal iodine.
Okay.
because the virus dies almost instantaneously when it gets in contact with.
So if they start taking nasal iodine, how long does that last? Let's say you get on an airplane. Would you want to take nasal iodine
24 hours
once a day
yeah,
while you're
once a day
potentially getting exposed to it?
Yeah, and if you miss a day, it's probably going to be okay.
If you're out on the beach, I don't think you really need to worry about it.
No, probably not. Yeah.
In the sunshine.
It's like that woman that yelled at me for not wearing a mask during COVID, and I said, "Lady, I'm downwind from you. I can't infect you because it's being blown."
I thought she was yelling at you through the window on a car driving by yourself.
Yeah. No, this was I was coming out of a restaurant and she was going in and she screamed at me for not having a mask on, and I said, "Lady, you're 20 feet away from me, and I'm downwind from you."
Well, we all know it was all bullshit anyway.
Yeah,
social distancing and all that stuff. But I have a question about nasal iodine. Is it since it's such low concentration? Is there any tint to it or anything, or any concerns of?
Occasionally, you'll have a drop that comes back out of your nose that's a little bit rusty.
Okay.
But most of the time, I spray it in both nostrils and inhale it. Mm-hmm. You got to sniff it all the way to get everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't run out of your nose or anything like that.
I do have to say, I was asthmatic, and the doctor in Venezuela told my mom, this is when I was a young baby or toddler, I would say, to put me in the beach or right in the front of the ocean, to just breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, get in the sunshine and breathe. That's the answer to a lot.
Yeah, sunshine and breathe. That's
well, and then what I added, me and Doc Roy we talk about the glasses a lot, but basically, circadian rhythm is also a part of it. Like your body needs to heal at night, usually for thousands of years.
Yeah,
the sun comes up, the sun goes down. You're trained to see the sun. You're out in the sun. We're historically out in the sun a lot. Then we've got all these non-native lights around us all the time, and it's not allowing our bodies to heal. And so that's why me and Dr.
That's
Roy.
why we have on these glasses.
So basically,
is to get the blue light out of that. And as far as the sun goes, if you get out in the morning when the sun's coming up, you can get 2 hours of really good sunshine that will go to your brain and tell your brain that everything's okay.
Don't wear sunglasses.
No, I have.
But wait, I look cool.
Yeah.
You can be Terminator at different times of the day.
I have some very expensive sunglasses that I've stopped using. Yeah. They're sitting out in my car, and if I have to drive into the sun, I'll put them on. But otherwise, I don't use them.
I've even found, since I'm gazing in the area of the sun a lot.
Yeah.
Seeing the sun through my windshield doesn't really even bother me anymore.
Yeah.
Like I have to squint a little bit, but like it's not like blinding, like it used to be.
It's better.
It's interesting.
Yeah. There are a lot of other things that are sort of weird that people have started using that work. And one of those is methylene blue. Because methylene blue is a dye that was used to make Levi's jeans blue. And we discovered about 20 years ago that we discovered about 40 years ago that it was a bacteria killer. And we used to use it for people who had bacterial infections of their urinary tract. And now we've learned that it turns on the energy manufacturing in your cells. Mitochondria. And makes people use it. I don't use it every day anymore, but I hit it at least 3 times a week.
There's actually a book called The Magic Bullet. Methylene Blue, The Magic Bullet. It's a short book. I would highly recommend checking that out.
Now, there's another thing that is just coming out, and that is there's a chemical that is manufactured in your body, dopamine, that makes you feel good. And it's if people don't have enough dopamine, then they look like Eeyore and like that. And you can buy patches with dopamine in them. And I've been doing that for 2 weeks now, and I feel really good. I was kind of like Eeyore around Christmas time, and I got some.
I was noticing your posts. You were a little dark and grumpy there for a minute.
Yeah,
like it seems like you've come out of it.
Yeah, I have, because I've been using dopamine, and you only have to use them 8 hours a day.
Okay.
I don't have one on right now, but I'm going to put one on when I get home.
How much research have you done on nicotine patches and just nicotine?
You mean on nicotine?
And just nicotine in general.
There's a tremendous amount of stuff out there of using nicotine to knock down the spikes in the spike protein that comes out of long COVID. And I've got one lady who takes. I sold some ivermectin to her yesterday, and she takes one ivermectin a day, and she uses a nicotine patch for that, and she has not had any problems at all.
It's helping her with the symptoms?
With the long COVID, yeah.
Okay. But you're not telling anyone to do that, but that's just what this person...
I'm just telling you this is an anecdotal thing. Yeah. And but there is some backup to it.
And we're not making any money off of it.
We're not making any money off of that.
Details. Not selling anything, so...
The only thing we're selling is ivermectin. We're not selling dopamine patches or anything. If you want dopamine patches, you can go to Amazon. You can buy a month's worth for $14. Now, think about that. If $14 will make you happy, that's a hell of a lot cheaper.
This is like one pour of bourbon.
Yeah, it's like one pour of bourbon.
Not Buffalo Trace.
I was going to say, that's cheaper than going to the bar down down with girls down there.
That's right.
Yeah, it's much cheaper than girls, that's for sure.
I was going to say. I figured out you could take 3 coffees from Starbucks, and that would take you. That would make you feel better for 3 days, but it's the same price as the dopamine patches that you use, and you sure as hell can't buy a bottle of vodka, or let alone bourbon.
Not good bourbon.
It's not anymore. I tell you that.
$14 a month. And they come as little dots, and you peel them off. You put them on a hair-free area of your body.
I don't have any of those, so now.
I was going to say.
I wear a sweater underneath it.
Yeah, I got a problem with that.
You can put it on between your eyes. Well, most females don't have any hair at all that's below their eyebrows, so they can put it anywhere. But I've been using that for 2 weeks.
Alfonso, get your mind out of the gutter. I see that grin.
Yeah, I know. Latino, there's so much I can say.
Latino porn,
a whole
right
podcast
there.
on it.
I'm just saying. I don't know your wife.
There's more bourbon if you want.
Yeah, exactly. My poor wife is going down.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
She's going to try to get us canceled.
Yeah, exactly. She's so proper and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, I don't know.
So, and again, folks, we're not ordering you to do this. We're not telling you to do this. We're just saying that there is some good stuff going around out there, and that it might work on you. Doesn't necessarily not work on you, but.
Well, I think most of the things you're saying, the biggest point for me would be they're not going to do you a lot of harm.
Yes.
Like methylene blue, there's as long as you don't take in massive quantities, ivermectin, there's really no side effects.
No side effects.
But do your own research.
Yeah.
Use your own.
Somebody was saying, "Oh, it's crazy. It's horse paste."
Yeah.
I said, "Well,
that was CNN."
Yeah. give me 3 bad things that come from ivermectin, and they couldn't even give me one.
That's right.
It won the Nobel Prize.
That's right.
Because it kills the worms that get under the eyes, and cause blindness in
The
Africa.
people in Africa use it as a prophylactic. They use
Yeah,
it
they
very,
take
very
it
regularly
every day.
because their water has bacteria.
That's why COVID levels were so low in Africa, because everybody already takes ivermectin to keep from getting river blindness.
You can't say that though, because you have to create a shot, Doc.
Oh yeah,
Make some money.
What else do you have on the?
that's all I got.
Okay. Well, so let's turn this into a humor clip if my speaker still works.
Okay.
Because I don't know.
You got to turn it on.
I got to turn it on again. Did it shut off
It
automatically?
looks like a shut off.
That's what it looks like to me.
I talk too much.
Hit the power.
No, I mean I think I don't. I thought it just stayed on because it has a power source on it. So
It's on now.
It doesn't need to.
I heard it.
Okay, so this is just a quick 30-second humor clip, and I'll just lead in saying we talked about Maha a lot.
Yeah.
For a while, what make America healthy again
I know.
might or might not do. But there was a pretty significant change in things, and it's something that we've talked about a lot on the program. It's something that for a very long time I've known it was complete and utter BS. And that's our food pyramid.
So wait,
they turned it over.
Before you hit play, I want to say that just this evening, as we were talking, I guess I can put this on me. Just this evening, as we were talking, Trump signed into is something where schools will now offer whole milk for school lunches. That just came through as we've been.
Next
talking.
thing you know, it'll be raw milk.
That's what my son is shooting for.
Yeah.
He wants raw milk. He's trying to. So there's you can't. It's not for human consumption, but there's a goat milk producer locally that we're going to go out and visit the farm.
Well, and there's also a cow producer around here because.
But our USDA won't allow us to drink it.
Yeah.
You're talking like sucking it right from the udder?
Was that?
I said you're talking about drinking it right from the udder?
Yeah.
I don't know. Where does your brain go, dude? I don't understand.
You said raw milk. I'm asking you, like the milk. It's not. It's the same.
Right on,
Yeah.
You gotta get right on the udder. and drink
Get
it.
it
No,
right
I'm saying
down
it's the same
there.
milk. It's not been touched, treated, or anything.
You know,
Nope.
there's
Yeah. Not
so much
homogenized.
stuff that I can talk about that right there.
I was the one not having my head to go.
So the point of it is like no steroids in the cows, none of the antibiotics, none of that stuff.
Oh,
So,
speaking of steroids,
it's organic.
Did you see my post this morning?
Oh yeah, let's get the. You almost. I saw that. That's funny.
My thumb started to hurt. These knuckles right here.
I know the feeling.
About a week ago.
And you've been trying to use DMSO on them.
That's age.
No, I put DMSO on them, and it didn't make them any better. So I said I had some cortisone there, and I said, well, I'll take it. So I took it for 5 days, and on the 5th day, I found myself in my dark kitchen trying to make a cup of coffee, and I have no idea how I got from my room to the.
You said it was like 1:30 a.m. or something.
It was 1:30 a.m. because I said I woke up and I said, "What in God's name
you were
am I doing?"
Sleepwalking.
Yeah, I was
Cortisone made him
sleepwalking.
Okay.
And that's the first time that I've ever really felt like I was sleepwalking.
So then you did some research into cortisone, and that's one of the side effects.
Oh yeah, it's one of the side effects.
Oh, I had no idea.
And but I got some laughs out of that. They said, "Well, we always knew."
So was it a
that you were
tablet or was it cream or what?
They were tablets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you can do hydrocortisone creams and
No,
stuff.
that's low stuff.
Yeah.
These were prednisone.
You got the juice.
Yeah, I got the juice because I got
He got the good stuff.
I got a.
He knows a guy.
He knows a guy.
He knows a guy that knows a guy.
Actually, it's a woman over in Kentucky. And she's,
Even better.
Oh, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Alfonso sounds like he's from Kentucky.
Yeah, he does. He sounds a lot like me, I'm
I
from
tried to
the deep
convince people
south.
from Madisonville. No, nobody believes me.
I know Madisonville. You're not Madisonville. Let's see if this sound works. And this is a short clip, but it's funny and it just kind of tells the story that we're talking about with the Maha movement.
The pyramid doesn't work. We've already tried it.
It's upside down,
What?
sir. The pyramid is upside down.
Turn the pyramid upside down. You can't be serious. That would put butter and fat at the top. Flip the damn food pyramid.
Yeah.
Get the president on the phone. Tell him to have some steak with his butter. The pyramid doesn't work. We've already tried it.
There you go.
Oh, that was the end.
Yeah. Well, I've been pushing that for years.
Steak with your butter? Or butter with your
No.
steak? I mean? Oh, no.
Have a little steak with your butter.
that the pyramid is upside down.
Yeah.
Because human beings were not made to be vegetarians.
Well, we're talking about our sickness industry again, and health instead of our
Oh,
health.
sure.
Health industry.
It's not a health industry, it's a sickness industry.
Shouldn't we go out and buy?
You can't kill them. You got
low-fat butter.
Just
Don't we need low-fat butter?
to not kill them.
I have low fat butter in my ass. That's what margarine was supposed to
Oh, that's
be.
the best stuff.
right.
And back whenever I was a kid, that was the best stuff. You're just supposed to laugh at this.
Yeah.
Just eat it. No.
What, the butter?
Yeah. No.
Margarine.
The margarine.
Yeah.
God only knows
That's-
what's in that. I can't believe it's not butter stuff.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to pivot back.
Fabio?
Huh?
Fabio?
Fabio, well, he's just in my dreams. No, not really.
Travis or Roy haven't really asked you any question or anything, so I want to get back
Well, I've
into
been
that.
listening to the story, man. You're a great storyteller, by the way.
You are.
Yeah.
Well,
I can sit here and listen for I
the
don't know
fact
how
that you're insider and you have all the direct information and knowledge of living it and seeing it, I just felt I don't think this was maybe it. I'm sorry, I'm doing two things at once. I thought bringing you in would provide some context for people that
Absolutely.
I don't think your story has really been told, and I probably we haven't really done it justice because I really feel like it could really be a series of things that here's how societies change. You think you have it good, and when people promise you things or things are just way too easy, like when Venezuelans were just given money and everybody was living high on the hog, and you don't plan for the tougher times, you don't plan for the changes in government. I mean, we live those cycles every time, like your son said. You know, I forgot what we coined, whatever it was. We found out what the name of that cycle is, but basically the cycle of hard times make strong men make.
Oh, it's I actually looked it up a little earlier. The saying is hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Let's see. The idea suggests that it is the final part of a popular cyclical saying, often attributed to G. Michael Hopp.
Well, it's not popular. It's just things that happen in our society over thousands of years.
Sure.
Well,
think about Rome.
Different societies.
That's
right.
They rise and they fall.
Yeah.
It's for a reason.
And Greece and
ironically,
Persia and all
there's
of those.
not getting into the weeds of it, but I mean, a lot of times before societies collapse, the populations get hyper focused on sex and different things, and just like with all the stuff going on with all the different trans issues.
So sex gender or
just anything related to sex. People get super hyper focused on all the, and I don't want to get into it, but it's like
hyper focused on sex all the time.
I was going to say.
I've been a good boy
today.
I mean, it's a day.
Today.
I've been a good
few
boy.
hours.
We only met a few hours ago, so that's all you know of me.
So I mean, I think a lot of things that I feel like your story still needs to be told in a much more specific fashion to educate our kids to what things look like, what they look like. People voting for Mandami he's promising all these wonderful things, and there might be a rise in something there. I don't know. I don't know where the money's going to come from. I don't know how they're going to take property away from people. I don't know how any of that's really going to fly. What he's saying. So
it's an aphorism.
An aphorism?
That's the title of what the hard times and all that stuff. It's called an aphorism.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Which is a quote from Herodotus.
Herodotus. Yeah, I think he's one of the
He's a Greek.
I've read.
Remember what happened to the Greek?
I thought he was from Kentucky.
I thought he was Madisonville, right?
So before we get back into maybe talking a little bit more about your own personal situation, we had talked about let's try to make sure the sound's going here, but critical thinking and having hard conversations and telling our kids I think similar to what your story was everything seemed great and you kind of shrugged it off whenever you were hearing the stories or whatever. Oh, that's fine, I understand it. You don't really ever understand it until you're really in it. That's like right. you get immersed in it, and I feel like we are right on the cusp of really, really bad or really, really good. I mean, my focus is on human flourishing. I really believe our country and our society with technology and everything has great potential to have unlimited wealth and human flourishing, health, wealth, all the things. However, you have to have the conversations, and you have to Like, you can't just allow one person to come in and say, this is why we're going to do things. I mean, you really have to have robust debate and conversations.
That's right.
So this clip is really, I think, maybe keying into that. Hopefully it's the right clip. I don't know. Maybe sometimes I screw up, but let's try it.
Crazy about Generation X. I don't even know if you can talk about this anymore. But we did this thing. This is so weird. Okay. It was called critical thinking. And it's crazy. So basically, what you would do, this is like in the old days, you would listen to both sides of a story or a topic or an issue, and then you would make your own, this is crazy, you'd make your own opinion that would then guide you through life.
This one is almost too painful to be funny.
Didn't catch the first of it, so you heard the first of it again there.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, I think you said something about humor, Alfonso, and it's like we really have lost our sense of humor. You know, when people and comedians are getting canceled, that things are not going in the right way, because what comedians have done. You think about the Richard Pryors and the Eddie Murphys and the my gosh, the raunchy things,
Blazing Saddles.
Hear. But you have to be able to make fun of everything at all levels, and that's free speech.
Yeah.
You're going to offend people. Yeah. If you can't offend people, you're not doing free speech right.
But here's the thing: not only that you're able, but that we cannot laugh, that we cannot understand, is because we are so entrenched in our own little world that we cannot say, "Oh, that's funny," even though it affects me. That's funny. You know, I mean, I hear jokes about Trump all the time and all that stuff.
Some of them are really funny.
They're really funny. And you know, you gotta be able to go on here and say, you know what, that's funny. You know, so I think that's that big. But the reason is the problem. The reason is that we say, no, that offends me. In what way? I mean, if you are making a joke, it's because it's both offending, but at the same time, it's an irony that you're trying to highlight, right? And you say, yeah, it is, but it's not at the same time. And I think that's what we just lost that ability to laugh.
Or you try to make everybody think all I think about is sex. So, you know, there's that too.
Yeah, right.
One more clip before we try to pivot. And I seriously, Doc Roy or Travis, if you have something that Alfonso might have hit on in this conversation that you'd like to circle back around to, by all means. We could go in any number of directions. I don't even know what time it is.
It's just 5 after.
I mean, it's gone by so fast, and I think we should do more. But let's listen to this one more clip of humor, just because I want to never ever forget. Alfonso has hit on it multiple times. I think people in America often forget and take for granted how great our country is. Yeah. And as bad as it can be, and me watching people in Minnesota and my wife reacting to women on the street screaming and being vile and treating ICE agents the way they do, like I'm so
trying to run one over, and then
I'm so offended.
Oh my God, he got shot.
I'm so offended. Well, there's new news in that one that came out today that he has internal bleeding. He has internal bleeding. He got hit by the car, so they showed a different angle. Yeah. That whenever he was guilty of just shooting her, well, they didn't see the angle where he actually got hit by the car. Oh yeah. And she was using that car as a weapon. But let's not go there.
But she was unarmed. She didn't have a 5,000 bullet that she could.
So let's not go there. Here's what Jimmy Carr is a super funny guy. I highly recommend.
Sex. Straight from
let's listen to this just for some reference, and let's circle back around and finish up. Maybe ask a couple questions and have a little more fun, and then get back. Let's try it.
Maybe.
Uh-oh.
What do I think about before I go to sleep at night?
This guy's good.
Jimmy Carr is dead. Just so everybody knows.
Yeah, we're both doing it.
No, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I think he is. That's what it sounded like in the movie.
He's good.
I do. In all seriousness, I do a gratitude practice. Like, it's boring.
Oh, I saw this.
But I sort of view. I think gratitude is the mother of all virtues. So that thing of like going, and not just the little gratitude of like going, oh, I'm very lucky, I'm an internationally famous comedian, but just the big stuff. If we lived 100, I've got 2 kids, right? If I lived 100 years ago, I could comfortably expect that one of them would be dead by now. because that was the mortality rate for children 100 years ago. And we can't see that. No one before 1920, right? Have a look. Anyone you admire before 1920, they never had a fucking hot shower. When you're in the shower tomorrow morning, give it a thought, spare a thought for how fucking great is this. And like, America is a great example of this. America is without doubt the greatest country, not just in the world now, but the greatest country there's ever been. Objectively it is, but subjectively, it's the worst country in the world. You think you're having a fucking terrible time. Oh, we're at war, we're at civil war. No, you're not. 90% of Americans agree about 90% of fucking everything, and the other 10% are online. Fuck them.
Yeah. So just to dial in the thesis of what we're trying to get to today. Yeah. So we really are, we're so blessed to be able to sit down with friends and have conversations like this, to hear examples of things that are going on, have gone on in the world, and we don't have context. We're not taught context. We're in our silos, as you beautifully put in the beginning.
Yeah.
We're put into silos. We're taught to fear ideas. We're taught to fear Trump. We're taught to fear our neighbor that might be different from us in some way. At the end of the day, we have to turn it around, and the only way to do that is to sit down and have conversations like this, and to be okay with being offended. You said several things today that I feel like we could go into. Like, we could have some more of the, I don't want to say contentious, like, we probably disagree on a lot of things in the minutia, but we could sit down and just have a conversation and say, well, I don't really agree with you. Can you explain to me why you think the way you think? You come from a communist Democrat world that you grew up in. We're obviously not going to think the same way. Right. So for me to come here and demand that you think like we think, that's not what we're doing. What I'm really happy is you've agreed to learn the language.
He sees the shine on our turd better than we do, though.
Yeah, exactly right.
Growing up the way he
does. So you've agreed to come to our country and learn the language. You've agreed to come to our country and engage in civil conversation. What I see being created around us is bringing Somalia. Like, I have nothing against Somalia. Have nothing against it. When they come in and take over a city, they are not integrating into the society. They are not being asked or forced to do that under the condition in this country, which is what our founding fathers demanded, that if you come to this country, the flag that you're going to wave is going to be the American flag. You're going to learn the language, and you're going to be a part. If you don't want to be here, we can find you a different direction.
So I will tell you, we created OLA under those premises. We created OLA, which is the organization that we created 20-something years ago, to because it was important to know what this country was about. I think one thing that it was very important for me growing up, or being in the United States and understanding what the United States meant, okay, for us, was to ensure that we had, okay, in the country, immigrants that were able to integrate or immerse themselves in the society. We created all under the understanding, okay, that we had to play by those rules, okay, and I'm very clear on that. So it's hard for me because I tell them all the time. The Catholic Church is very clear about this. You can go into Catechism of the Catholic Church, and it tells you, a country without a country is no country. A country without borders is not a country. Yeah. And you are expected as an immigrant to comply or to learn, what makes that country unique. Okay, and that is very important. Now, that doesn't mean that we cannot understand each other. That doesn't mean that we cannot that we will have. Keep your culture. Keep your culture. Yeah, exactly. But keeping our culture doesn't mean that we're going to completely dismantle the culture that we have in this culture, in this country. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important. Immigration is one of those things that we needed, and I will tell you, I talked to a lot of people, a lot of elected officials about this, because I've always had a very simple rule about immigration. Okay, first, have a border. You have to control the border. We have to be able to decide who comes in and who comes out. Okay, and I will tell you that Trump is right about even Venezuelans. The Maduro government had given Venezuelan passports to Hezbollah members through the Venezuelan embassy in Cuba, almost 500. So when people ask why are Venezuelans that process being stopped, and I know Venezuelans might get upset about this, but that's the reason. It's because the Venezuelan government didn't have a good enough system, to vet those out. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, it's hurtful because I see people walking from Venezuela to the United States. I see girls being raped. I don't see it. I hear about girls being raped.
There are videos.
That is not the right way to do immigration.
No.
Having said that, I will tell you these. Okay, 2 things. One, and this might get me in trouble, but
not here, probably.
Yeah.
We might not agree, but it's not going to get you in trouble.
What do you prefer? An immigration that believes and is educated in the Judeo-Christian way of living and value system, or otherwise? It is better for the United States to bring you immigration from South America than from any of the Arab countries.
Sure.
Okay. So
was that the thing that we were supposed to be?
You're going to get in trouble for this. No, I'm just kidding.
So what most people in the United States, though, don't understand is the first 13 colonies, they say the Constitution doesn't say that. If you go back to the state constitutions of the original 13 colonies, every one of them talks about Judeo-Christian principles.
Absolutely.
And it has to be a part of the foundation of the country, or you're going to lose the country.
Because Islam, the Sharia law is completely different.
I don't even want to. It doesn't even matter to me what the religion is or if it's Islam. What matters to me is we were told and taught and told in our foundational documents why it needed to be this way, and our own system filtered that out. Our education, our media, filtered it out. So I have nothing against anybody.
I have no problem. Everybody coming here and adapting themselves to that. Now, so number 2, we have to comply and uphold the rule of law.
100%.
Okay. How many of you?
Our laws, not Sharia.
Our laws.
Yeah.
Our laws. But how many of us here have run a stoplight, a stop sign?
All right, sure.
Yeah.
Speed limit.
I push the edge.
Liar.
Your nose is growing.
Your nose is growing.
Okay. I've never seen him openly lie on a podcast.
So I have driven at 21 miles an hour in a school.
Okay. But here's the point. What do you do when the law is broken?
And you get pulled over?
Break it,
when you get pulled over?
Anybody. What do you do when the law is broken?
You deal with the consequences of your actions.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are the consequences? It can go from a speeding ticket. You do an online course and pay a ticket, right?
Right.
To,
if it's your first offense, get a good attorney. Who I know one.
All the way to death penalty. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So there are some people in this country that broke the law. How can we remedy that? So we know that we have to uphold the law. Mm-hmm. So how do we uphold the law? By imposing penalties on those people.
Not really making examples, but showing what happens if you do.
But that doesn't necessarily means, get rid of them. Because here's the second part or the third part of these. I've been in the factories.
Just wait, before you go any further. Mm-hmm. Just because I break these things up into clips, and I want to make sure that we're entering this conversation. It seems to me like you're saying we have a lot of people here that didn't come in legally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're having what do we do with
this is Alfonso's solution.
So I just want to frame it. Before you just go down the pathway, I want to make it a question.
Yeah.
So
remember about liking dictatorship?
I got it.
I love it.
I got it.
Because I'm the dictator.
You're the benevolent dictator right now. I will allow you to be the benevolent dictator as long as you understand, if we're on the same page with where you're going. So we've had administrations. I don't need to point a finger at right, left. Doesn't matter to me. We have a lot of people here that are not here legally through the process that, and you came on a whole special different thing that.
But in the legal system, I came through the right way to do it.
But there are people that have been waiting years and they've paid a lot of money and they've agreed to a lot of things and whatever. So this isn't
$75,000.
This isn't really about you, but let's get there.
Yeah.
So we've got people that walked here from Venezuela, like the whole thing.
Wherever.
10 million came through under Biden. A lot of them don't speak the language, have no desire to speak the language. They're just getting inserted into communities and whatever. Alfonso has been handed benevolent dictator. How do we fix the millions and millions and millions of people that we have here that aren't speaking the language, aren't assimilating to society, don't know the laws? My wife was in Haitian Creole court this morning. They don't know how to drive because they don't know the laws, and they run stoplights and they run stop signs, and they're not ill-willed. But it's draining our system.
Yeah,
it does all kinds of things.
So extremely simple.
Here you go.
Extremely simple. So first, you have a border. You have to control the border. So what Biden did was wrong. Okay, so that's simple. I mean, there's no two ways about it. The wall. I mean. You want to do a wall, or do a drone that goes back and forth, and
we got body thermal scanners. We know where everybody.
So
is.
Anything you want to stop that. 2, you do have to send the criminals back. There's no. I mean, the wife beaters and the ones that
drug
are
dealers,
rapists, I mean,
rapists. Child molesters.
They're making my life worse.
For sure.
Okay, as an immigrant, as all that.
You're from Kentucky. You're not an immigrant.
Kentucky. That's right. Madisonville.
This works on your accent. Those from Kentucky are also immigrants. Wait a second.
But here's the thing. This is pragmatically. This is the person that we have, 11 million, 15 million, whatever it is.
It's a big number. I don't think we know.
Can you go and round them up all, and send them back? Look at what's happening in where is it? Wisconsin?
Minnesota.
Yeah. Minnesota, Venezuela. That's what.
Minnesota, Venezuela. Yeah. That's a town.
Oh yeah. That's a whole other podcast. But here's the problem. So you have certain people that want to do it right, and here's a social challenge that I'm going to give you. Those people are having children, okay, and the children are U.S. citizens. So if we send their parents back to their countries, we're going to leave some children here that are going to be vulnerable to who?
Well,
socialists.
But the parents are given a choice.
No. It doesn't matter. You're going to have U.S. citizens living in this country, all right, that are going to be vulnerable because the parents are going to be sent back.
But the parents have a choice to take them with them, though. From what I've read and understood, that the parents have a choice to take them with them.
You know what they do?
Or they're going to leave them.
You know what they do?
Leave them?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still better for them here.
So we're going to have, I'm telling you, it's not that
it's
I
happening
agree with
now.
this. It's happening now.
Yeah. Right.
So we're going to have a social problem, okay, of children that are going to be
parentless.
Listening to who?
The government.
Government and who else? Drug cartels and all these people. So we're going to have
whoever's paying them the money.
People growing up, okay, that are going to be socials, going to be citizens of the United States, okay, that don't have the proper education to get in the system, okay? So it's just like Pax Romana. You know what Pax Romana is?
Yeah.
You know,
peace,
I'm not familiar.
Peace for the world.
Right, but it's peace, but it's more than that. When the Roman Empire, okay, was being built, right, and it was, you were expected as a parent to educate your children, and you were liable, for what your children did. Okay, so Pax Romana was that whole compendium of laws, okay, that make you responsible for what their children do. I can tell you that it would be a whole different world if we were responsible for what our children did. Okay, so my challenge, and again, I've done it right. I've paid a lot of money, and I've done it. So I disagree with illegal immigration. Having said that, I'm here to challenge, okay, or in many ways, is that we have a social challenge that if we confront them, we're adding people to the other side. And it's going to through the voting, through just sheer numbers, are going to challenge even our own ways. So my point is, do it in a way that you pay the penalty that is going to allow to uphold the law. Okay, if you came here illegally and you stay clean, you're not a wife beater or a criminal or gets in drugs or anything or drunk driving or anything. Okay, then you're allowed to pay a penalty. Make them pay $5,000. They pay coyotes even more. But make them pay $5,000 or whatever that amount is, times 11 million people, times 15 million people. How much is that?
Put the money aside. I feel like you're on the
no. Let me finish something.
I just want to add just real quick. You're going right back. All I will say is, again, the rules that our founders put into place is you have to learn the language and assimilate.
So let me get back. That's what I'm gonna.
That's where we're at.
So once you do that. And then you say, okay, you have to not only learn the language. I mean, at OLA, we do it all the time. We have programs to teach them the language, to upskill their second generation. Because the second generation, which are U.S. borns, they live with their parents that maybe don't know the rules of the society here. So what I'm saying is, you gotta understand, okay, that we're creating something that it's almost like shooting against ourselves. You know, you're shooting a shotgun that is blocked. Okay, so my point is, make them pay a penalty, get them into the system, get them to pay taxes. Okay, get them into classes. I mean, night classes to teach them how we do things here in the United States. Okay, change the mindset. Okay, into get them out, which they're not going to go out. Okay, just like that. And if they do, they leave their children behind without any Pax Romana, right? And then we say, okay, all right, get rid of the wife beater, get rid of the criminals, get rid of all these other people that have the Hezbollah, and all that. Clean the whole thing, and then you say, okay, now you're going to pay. And if you pay, it's because you can. And then we give a labor force, okay, that can make America great again.
Yeah, so I think all that sounds really fantastic, and like the linchpin kind of in all this to me is a lot of people believe, you know, there's a whole contingent of people, 40% or whatever, that love Trump's message, and I think that's fantastic.
I get it.
Then you've got another side, and I try to stay in the middle and just like look at what's going on and look at what's going on and where does it come to the center, and we can just give our kids, and those kids that are anchor babies, I think is what basically they're anchor children. What vision do you put in front of them aside from the crazy people in Minnesota? Well, just let me ice this out a little bit. You're seeing they see craziness going on, and I don't know. You can't stop that because it's social media and it's internet and everything is connected to each other. But you need a strong vision and mission of people coming together and saying, "Look, we don't care what your party is, because I don't care. You would have been a Democrat coming here naturally because you grew up, your family grew up Democrat, and I think you're now more Republican. Yeah. But that's only because the Republicans have changed and the Democrats have changed. Like you were probably more a JFK, Republican now. Yeah. Whatever. I mean, there's little nuances, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Like it's not. Doesn't matter. You're right. It's not a label. Like they label us to keep us divided. And silos. The silos. You said it better than I could say it. We have to come together and break the silos and have conversations about topics. And what is our community? What can we do in our city, in our counties, in our surrounding counties to bring people back together to make the community better again? Make America Great Again is too big for my brain. I don't even know what that means except for protect our borders, quit allowing people to come over that are hostile to us and don't want to assimilate. Absolutely. Don't let my kids get fentanyl in their food, or whatever, wherever we're going with all that. And let's just get back to communal living, not communist. Yeah. But like, what do we do with people in our backyard? You said, knowing your neighbor, like that used to be a thing. So that should be the thing. So let me give you an example. Alfonso for president. I'm actually dictator. My last question is kind of in that thing that you keep going with. So think about it like this: it's always about example, okay, and about what you show, okay. If you have a teenage kid that is acting up,
and you tell him, honey, that's okay, what do you think is going to happen?
It's going to keep happening.
That's right. Same.
Right? So if you put
need that pain, a little bit of pain, whatever what it is.
To put a stop to it. So we need to put that stop. In the communities, in our communities, people need to see that by misbehaving, okay, by breaking the law, there are consequences. I can tell you, I assure you that Latinos in particular, right, grow up and we are family oriented, we have values, we want order, we're leaving our countries because there's no order. So when you have order, right, we are attracted to that. Okay, when we have people that are breaking the law, we don't want to do that. We want to pay the taxes and all that stuff. So you make this example of a few, and you stay strong. I mean, this thing that happens, that people just running over law enforcement officer, it cannot happen. Period.
Quit sitting there and tax money in Minnesota.
Yeah, so it cannot happen. So you make examples, but then you also give them an alternative. I said, okay. All right, you stay clean. Okay, here's an alternative. This is how you do it. And then we're going to create a generation of people, okay, that are going to believe in the American dream, okay? And that, I think, is what we're looking for. We're looking for people that can be with us, okay? That is not going to be against us, okay? And that's part of the siloing, okay? That's part of what's happening. So, yeah, the border has to be controlled because every country has to be able to put the rules in place that are going to accept whatever immigration that we want. That's logical, right? Common sense is so uncommon, right? But that's the point. So that's what we do. Put the laws, make an example of these people, get them out, but give the others the alternative to say, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is how you study, you go to college, and it doesn't have to be college, but this is how you do it. You work hard, and this is how you do it. Now I say like this is how you do it. But
this is the humor section.
So I think to me that's very simple. Now it might be because I know the Latino culture, right? And I know that they're going to respond to that. They will. Okay, they like these people out of there because they're making their children look bad. Yeah, they don't want that. You know.
I want to say you sound more American than most Americans, and your context of how you have lived and what you've seen and what you've lived through is so valuable that I don't think your story couldn't be told enough times in a different like everyone that has a similar story to yours should be speaking out and talking about why we can't let this American experiment go away. I mean, that's we are blessed to be here. We bellyache, the three of us, about the things that make us mad, but at the end of the day, we're trying to create that tension. Like I think you said, where you and I could have a long conversation about lobbyists and what tension they create, because I hate lobbyists most of the time. But even when you said what you said, I could have put that shirt on back behind Travis over there that said I was wrong. So what you said there had value, and so it would cause me to pull my opinion back to that tension is good. He's right. Do I like how lobbyists have moved everything and whatever? There's definitely some things that aren't great. But
there's always abuses of the system, right? I will
that's
tell
where
you,
the tension helps.
I will tell you the minority thing and the minority buying and I forget the word, but where Governor Braun took all that I forget where all the minority spending and all the stuff. I mean, what's the diversity and all?
DEI program.
DEI program.
Okay.
Thank you. DEI program. Let me tell you something. I was in it. I tried very hard. It was one of the biggest wastes of my life. Yes. The time that I wasted there is people are gonna again get upset.
Doesn't sound like a good idea.
But it's an idiocy.
Yeah.
Okay. So meritocracy is the way to go.
Yes.
There's no two ways about it. Okay.
None of us are going to fight you on that.
No.
Now, having said that, it is important for everybody to give the opportunity. Okay.
Right.
Now, I understand. I come from Venezuela. We used to have that in Venezuela where it is logical. that children, okay, that parents that have big businesses are going to give the opportunity to their children, not to this guy from Jose from Panama that came in and all that. It is logical. That doesn't mean that we curtail the opportunities to those people. We do. We have to have this mindset of meritocracy and really give it to the person that deserves it.
And unfortunately, what you're saying is wholly true. There's no way to ifs, ands, or buts. You can't get around that. The problem that has been created before us is allowing a bunch of people in without any process, is putting people, they're making people a minority with major disadvantages. And the idea of DEI was to say, well, these are really smart people and they're passengers of the earth, so they deserve the chance. The problem is they haven't gone through the process of the learning to be meritocratic.
Yeah.
They don't have the skills and the ability, and that's not their fault.
But they learn really fast.
They learn really fast, but you have to have you have to have a system that creates that. If
they learn really fast, and if we don't have that many soccer moms. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if
we could call that group a whole different. There's all kinds of
whatever that is called is we cannot be. I mean, for me, my children told me all the time, "Oh, sometimes you're a really asshole dad." I said, "Yeah, thank you."
That's kind of our job.
Have you been kidnapped?
It's kind of our job. This is the end of the podcast.
That's all I got.
That's a good one.
I'd ride that pony all day long.
But how many times can I use this in one sentence?
But that's the thing. I mean, they will learn the American way if we're proud of our ways and we don't ask for forgiveness for that. Because our society is always asking for forgiveness. Oh, I'm so sorry that we're making you. No, guess what? All the people that came here before worked really hard for this.
A lot of them died much younger than
us. They died
sacrificed
for it,
everything.
sacrificing everything. How many of these kids served on a military?
Our kids have no. Our current kids really have no idea, except for COVID. They got dealt some really terrible things. In that
technology has allowed us to take down a dictator in 20 minutes. Okay, with 20 people against 100.
And they could have done it probably by.
They probably would have done it. So we don't need that many kids. We don't need that many kids to join the military.
Right.
I get it. Right?
And that's not bad.
Yeah,
but we need public service.
But that doesn't mean that they have experienced how hard it is to take down a dictator.
All kids, all humans should do some form of public service.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to learn the fabric of the community. What?
Yeah.
Am I blocked? Yeah, I don't see. This is going to be a problem. I was covering up the new mic system.
I saw that.
Travis couldn't hear me, so he was giving me the signal, like, get your hand away. Yeah. But I think, what you're saying is, let's come back to the point just for a second, and we got to wrap up. Only because Travis has to get home to his kid. He's got to go to school tomorrow. Maybe. Not going to school.
Probably not going.
Yeah, she's got crud.
50 text messages.
Yeah,
it's not live. Your wife hasn't watched it yet.
So meritocracy is a thing in a perfect America. Meritocracy should always dominate. The problem is we now have an influx of people, and the question that you asked is a very broad question. What do we do with all the people that aren't criminals and whatever, and how do we bring them into our society and make America great again? But I don't even want to say that. I want to make it better than it's ever been, because
good point.
People that are here don't know what good America was, and even the kids, my kids' age, don't understand it.
Listen, I can tell you, I'm not going to name names because she would be upset with me. But
that sounds like I need to know.
Yeah, but I will tell these. There's some people, that graduate from college and or get a degree in the middle of their work path and all that stuff, and they expect by just doing that they're going to earn more money. It's like, what?
It's a big lie.
Yeah,
we've been sold.
So it's not about that. It's about what you can do. I tell minority young people all the time I said, listen, it's not about blacks or yellow or browns. It's about green. You learn how to make people green, and everybody will be fine, and everybody will love you. It's as simple as that. It might be capitalistic pig way of thinking, that I am, but that's the point is we need to figure out how to make anything that we do successful Okay, so we then can expect to get something in return.
You must be a salesman.
Yeah.
This is a confrontational thing, and I feel like we could talk an hour on it. But what I believe we need is to make apprenticeship good again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trades. Like we don't need
trades,
and it's not just trade. When you say trades, I think of plumbers and electricians. That is going to be very, very important moving forward. All I'm saying is, like, if business owners, like, if a kid could say or go spend time with somebody that's in this industry and just like see what they're doing and get immersed in that. Yeah. Like, you don't even know when you go to college most of the time what you want to do with your life.
Yeah.
And you think college professors are going to tell you the best thing for America? Are they going to tell you the best thing for whatever that college is trying to promote? And I don't want to go on a tangent with anti-college, but we don't need nearly as many college graduates, and we have way too many colleges, and it's way too expensive. So there's a big conversation that needs to be had there.
But the 2 years colleges, degrees, and all that.
Man,
it's just the solution. So here's
the local high school that lets people learn how to cook, learn how to build things,
and then go and do it,
or not, or just say I don't want to do that. So now I want to be a doctor,
right? Yeah.
Because I don't want to do the trades. Right. I want to go be a doctor.
But I think it's important to know, and I will tell you on the Latino thing and immigration thing, I think that if you frame the rules and you enforce the rules, everybody will get in.
Yeah.
The problem is that we were not enforcing the rules. It's as simple as that. Yeah. You know, we were not enforcing the rules of immigration. We were making extremely complicated. I tell you, 2 engineers, my wife and I, bilingual with master's degree. It took us 13 years to become citizens and $75,000.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So the point is not.
You could have just started a daycare in Minnesota and.
And I would have gone back to Venezuela with a bunch of money. Minnesota.
It's happening again. Let's come up here. Come up here. It's not oil, but it's coming like oil.
Right. So the point is that I think that all we have to do is to expect the best.
Yeah.
And enforce the best. Period. It's simple.
Yeah. I agree completely.
Travis, you haven't talked very much today. Do you have any
I've been listening. All I think about is the ladies apparently. That's all you guys say that I think about. No, it's been great. Alfonso, I just awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. It's great. Yeah. It's not a great story, but it's a great story that you told us. You know,
that's a good point.
We could have told the story how we got kicked out of a restaurant.
Yeah.
Finish Pat.
No, I'm gonna break my arm patting on the back, but I'm just saying. I mean, you best orator I think we've had on here.
Oh yeah.
Great stories. Yeah. I hope to get to know you better personally.
Sure.
Thank
you, honey.
But all I think about. But no, I think it's been a great night. Yeah, I didn't say much, but I mean, how can I say anything over this amazing?
The only awkward thing for me is not having headphones on and not hearing things exactly the way I've heard them before. So that was me. I have to learn how to do this a little differently.
Sure. And, I mean, but do you like this way better, or would you?
I do. I think having a smaller table and being a little closer, and even bringing you a little closer and having a little more tighter conversation, I think would be a little bit.
I kind of like this openness. I mean, all that. I mean, it just yeah.
So maybe I'll keep it another week because you said it. Because all I've been doing is destroying it every week now. And he's like, "What do I have to come?"
I have to keep redoing everything.
He was sweating before the podcast. He's like, not sweating. He was just solving the problems. I'm like, "Are we going to be able to start anytime tonight?" I'm not sure.
And then I show up at 4.
Is this going to record at all? He did show up at 4.
Yeah.
And but anyway. I agree with everything Travis said, and we've hung out in private sessions and got kicked out of a restaurant. And that was really fun.
That's for another day. We'll have to have Alfonso on again.
And it had nothing to do with immigration.
No, but it was.
They said, "Sir, you're from Kentucky."
Yeah, exactly.
And we're not getting into it because he's got to go home. But
it is what it is.
No, but that happened right kind of at the beginning of the whole woke.
Yeah,
we got caught in it was the mind virus of people saying you can't say that and you have to leave because I'm offended. You
guys got kicked out of a restaurant for that?
It's bigger than that, and we're not going to get into the details of it on this podcast, but it essentially looking back in time that was kind of at the wake of that first wave of they kicked me out before they kicked my wife out, and I had no idea why I was getting kicked out. So that to me was like a blip, and that was before I even thought about having a podcast. It was before any of this came up. But like looking back, I'm like, holy shit, that was an early warning sign of what is going on right now.
Yeah.
And so like I think you and I could probably really dig into what that was and where it took us. I mean, because it kind of predates where we are with socialism and communism kind of coming to our country, and we're having to face those things and have the conversations and the debates. Is it what we want? With AI coming, what is this hybrid system going to look like? Because we do have to probably think of things differently than we've ever seen them before. There's no doubt about it.
But that happens all the time in history.
It does. Maybe big. This is a big one. This is really big.
So I don't know if you saw it, but I'm doing a master's in theology, and I just did a history of the medieval church, and I did one of the early church, and it's amazing.
God wills it.
You're creating your own podcast here shortly, aren't you? I imagine.
If you need a producer and you actually pay, let me know.
Now wait a minute. I didn't know this was going to turn into recruiting. That's bullshit. I don't want to. That's not what we're doing.
All right, guys.
You're canceled. You're never coming back on this program again.
I'm not.
You're fired. You don't make any money. So
I'm not interested in podcasts. I'm interested in dictatorship.
Benevolent.
Oh, benevolent.
You got to add that word.
Details.
That word will go canceled. It'll get canceled. I'm sure of it.
This is
Semantics.
This has gone on too long.
No, it hasn't. This is fantastic.
I've had a great time.
It's been great, and I appreciate your journey.
Thank you for having me, guys.
I've heard your journey here a couple times now, and again, I think you can offer so much history, lessons, things that we could be learning and teaching our kids that we're not for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah. History repeats itself.
History repeats itself.
What happens,
Yep.
We can maybe make minor, adjustments.
So I will tell you, the same things that we got to change to teach our children, okay, it's the same things that we had to teach the immigrant people.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
I tried to make a joke and it didn't fall right.
No, I have to bring up the kidnapping for it to be.
Can one of you kidnap me today so I can have that? I can throw that hammer down.
Yeah. Sure.
No.
Now you're part of the group. Even my friends go like, when somebody new comes and says, "So how did you get to Evansville?" And everybody goes, "Oh, here we go." And I go, "That's another great story."
My friend,
First you got to get kidnapped.
Yeah. Let's start there. If that didn't happen, you can't even consider.
Go to Colombia.
Yeah, exactly.
My friend, I so appreciate you coming on, and I feel that your story needs to be told in different ways, and however we can expand on that, we're happy to help you in any way that you can, that we can, and thanks for taking the time. Travis,
thank you for having me.
As always, you came and solved all the problems. That was a good handshake. That was fantastic.
That was. I caught that.
That was good.
Yeah.
Trav, thanks for coming early today and sacrificing time from your family. Doc,
not paid.
No, but that's okay.
Doc brings.
I wouldn't got to meet you.
The health knowledge that we spent so many podcast episodes on.
Yeah.
That I think most people are kind of awake to the things that are going on in medicine now, everything's getting flipped upside down. So, I think your role is going to be helping us figure out where's it landing after all of it. What are doctors doing? What do we do to eat? What do flip the pyramid upside down, all that jazz. But I love you guys. Yep. I love all you at home. We didn't really play the AI song real clearly.
No, we didn't.
You can go to suno.com/@UnitedDivided. I think it's usually in the clips.
Yeah.
And just listen to the different songs that AI is creating. I'm not making any money off of that, but that whole statement is just for people to understand that AI is coming, and it's going to change things, and things are going to be easier and going to get done outside of we don't even know how to control it. So you just be aware of it, and so enjoy those things if you can.
Yeah.
And you're welcome to come back. And we're looking for a new podcast studio. So for anybody out there, we've got a couple people that are promising to give us some monthly support. So we're looking to get some new equipment, bring other people other than me. Maybe Travis is running his own pod, or Dr. Roy, or you. We're looking to bring good content and have these conversations that are needed in our community. So I think maybe I tried to sync up with your wife at one point and kind of figure out a path to get more of that organic you know, young people out there talking about things that need to be talked about. Not just TikTok clips, which is
no more TikTok.
Well, I don't know about that. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you very much, Alfonso.
Thank you guys.
We'll see you next time.
Yep. Have a good night.
Good night, y'all.